What?
What the hell was that?
It was supposed to be this.
The Neil Rogers Show on 560 UAM. To talk to Neil, call 567-0560. Call free in Dade and Broward. 560 on your telephone. The opinions of Neil, his guests, and callers do not necessarily represent those of the Beasley Broadcast Group, its staff, advertisers, or agencies. Now, here's Neil Rogers on 560 UAM.
I'm dying over here.
The little ballot box. Take a shovel and try the vacant lot. Who is can't decide the recounting today? I'll vote for tonight and take it away. Well, I'll start in Florida, where John Bush is the governor. But I vote for the right when I'm on the left. It's a good day, we think I can. Just Gordon with me and Cinch, his retard brother had his flinched this tomorrow. Vote for the man, still haven't arrived. From the ballot rise up and out of the sky.
(10:02) at 560 WQAM. I'd like to point out before anything else today that all these old geezers who allegedly are so inept and people are pointing the finger and blaming at them, they've been voting for years. They're the ones that actually turn out and vote, not just in Palm Beach, but everywhere. So the idea that because they're old and feeble and a bunch of yentas, that makes them stupid and unable to cast a vote that's proper, I don't think so. And I've heard of lots of people and talked to lots of people under the age of 100, people in their 20s and 30s who voted in Palm Beach, who said, I looked at that thing and I went like, yeah. See, because I'll say it again, just like Bob Wexler just said on Fox News Network, the sample ballot and the ones in the newspaper didn't show the punch holes. Remember I pointed that out yesterday? So they don't show why it's confusing. In addition to which, we're talking illegal ballot. I think that's really going to be the crux of the whole thing. Now, the difference is only 941 votes. Gore is picking up lots and lots of votes in the recount. There's a zillion different things to talk about here today. Do we have time? I don't think so.
No.
And that's with only 32 out of the 67 counties in the state recounted. Now, another interesting thing is that last night, Pinellas County was doing their recount, and they came up with Bush losing. I forget, I don't have I got too much stuff here in front of me. Bush lost about 40 votes, and Gore gained about 400 and some. We came to a difference of about 500. And then they said, wait a minute, we're taking that back because there's some votes that weren't recounted and yada, 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 and they got to do it again, and we'll turn those in tomorrow, today, which they have till 7 o'clock tonight to get this all done, the recount. But if you assume that Gore is going to pick up, say, even 400 more, that's just in Pinellas County alone. Just one out of 35 counties still have to be recounted, which will cut it down to 400 votes. And we get so much misinformation. First of all, for the guy that called yesterday, and then this is my fault for not remembering, Clarence Thomas was confirmed to the Supreme Court, his nomination, by like 52 to 48, I think. We don't need two-thirds of the Senate to confirm an appointee to the Justice of the Supreme Court. It's just a simple majority. That's number one. Secondly, that chronic right-winger that calls us every day with his bogus statistics, that's been telling us, the expert on the absentee ballots, maybe he was down there sending a few thousand out. Because that's also a big thing here. Not just the vote in Palm Beach, but this real mystery of the absentee ballot. Which there's some real great stuff written about that in the papers today. It says, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement calls the absentee ballot in Florida the tool of choice for those inclined to commit voter fraud. And like I said yesterday, first we were supposed to believe there was 350,000 absentee ballots, then it was 500,000, and then it was like almost 1 million. I mean, something's rotten in Denmark. Also, the overseas ballots, which this genius that keeps calling us with these bogus statistics, Mr. Expert out there, telling us all along. He's been saying, there's 30,000 of those votes are from overseas. There are 2,000 or 3,000 ballots overseas. There were 2,300 in 1996, and Clinton won almost half of them, I should point out. And there this year are 2,000 to 3,000. They don't know the exact number. And in addition to which, the ballots had to be postmarked no later than Tuesday election day, but the fact is many overseas votes were counted on election night because they arrived before the polls closed. In other words, who knows? Who knows? Who knows how many of them are actually still outstanding, and how many will arrive by November 17th, which is the deadline, which is still 8 days away. In other words, yeah. So this is the way it goes on, and I'm hearing more and more people talk about the fact that there's going to be a re-election in Palm Beach. Let's do the poll on it today. Our poll from yesterday, do you believe the election results in Florida are honest? 1,624 people chimed in on that on NeilRogers.com. 1,281 said
no.
79% said no. 247 yes, that's 15%. Don't know 96, 6%. Our poll question today, should Palm Beach County be given another election? Yes or no? See, we're not just talking about the 3,400 Buchanan votes. There are so many irregularities here that I got about 600 pages from both newspapers here, and we don't even get the Palm Beach Post, so I can imagine what's going on with that newspaper. With irregularities up the ass. And, of course, the big headline on the front page of the Sun-Sentinel this morning is about the 19,120 ballots invalidated in Palm Beach, just in Palm Beach County. Thousands of votes were disqualified because they were punched twice in the presidential race. And interestingly, a very, very heavy majority of those were by black voters. So here you've got old yentas who went to vote for Gore and Lieberman, who wound up voting maybe as many as 3,000 or more for Pat Buchanan, and then you've got a lot of black folks. And also we've got all kinds of stories about, this is like something before the Civil War. It's unbelievable. Black people who weren't allowed to vote, who were being given a song and dance by FHP. And by the way, speaking of FHP, thanks to my good friend out there. There you go. Got stopped for speeding on the way to work on the turnpike this morning. Going 75 on the turnpike, a little frustrated, trying to get around somebody who was going 50 in the left-hand lane. I'm going 75. Here comes the red lights. And a very nice FHP officer. I opened the window, handed my registration driver's license, looked at me and said, "Nice to meet you, Mr. Rogers. You're going 75, a little bit, not outrageous speed, but a little bit too fast." He says, "Hang on a second." He went back, he's writing and writing and writing. I thought he's writing me a ticket. I thought, well, here we go with Randy Multash and the ticket defense team again. And he came back and had written me a warning citation and said, "Have a nice day." "Thank you, officer. You're a hell of a guy. You're okay in my book." In Palm Beach County, 19,120 ballots invalidated. So if you take those 19,000, you tack onto them the roughly 3,000 bogus Buchanan votes in Palm Beach, which clearly by any measure are votes that were intended for Al Gore, you're talking over 20,000 now. That's 22,000. And the balance right now is Bush is ahead 941 votes and 35 counties still to be recounted. And part of the good news of this is maybe people are thinking, well, that is good news if you're for Gore, hopes that he wins. People are probably thinking, well, a lot of those votes must have been in Broward. Guess what? Bush actually gained one vote in Broward in the recount. So it wasn't in Broward. Wait till Volusia County comes in with their recount. Wait till Orange County comes in. And like I said, wait till Pinellas comes in with their final recount, because it looks like Gore's going to pick up 400, maybe 500 votes, maybe more, just in Pinellas County alone in this recount. And I'll say it again. You saw that scene there on election night on all the networks. The Bush family sitting there, very confident, very cocky, just like now. Oh, we won. They're starting their transition team now. What did I say the other day on election day? They believe that they can talk themselves into something. It didn't work in New Hampshire, and it's not going to work now. You can't talk yourself into winning. Either you win or you lose. And then they come up yesterday with that. There was a box marked 90. I guess it's precinct 90, and they showed the supplies, the flag, and the crayons in there. That's only one. What about the one that we saw here from the black church that had the number 79 on it? So you know it's a different ballot box that was supposedly filled with uncounted ballots. And isn't it interesting how after they discovered this 93% black vote for Gore in the state of Florida, that all sorts of different things were revealed. about the way the black vote was being handled and the blacks being turned away. Black votes not being counted. Not that there's any racism involved here. You do understand that. Good. 10 past 10 at 560 WQM.
No portion of this program may be reproduced without the express written permission of WQAM DC Broadcasting Incorporated.
Okay, whatever you say. 1014 at 560 QAM. Here's Dave Caprita on the line, who's coherent today, I hope.
Who would have thought that the leader of the free world would be chosen by Captain Dave and a bunch of yahoos in Palm Beach County?
I never thought about that. Now, what did you punch? You punch yourself in the face?
Yeah, and then I went into the voting booth.
Yeah.
It wasn't confusing to me. I don't know. There was like, there's a 5 and there's an arrow and it's pointing right to the hole.
Yeah.
So,
well, you always were able to find your way to the hole.
Yeah, pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. I was out of there real quick, too.
Uh-huh. That's what I hear.
So on the Today Show, about 45 minutes ago, they were down here, and this guy was interviewing people at the Breakers, and it was about 50 or 60 people, and most of the people were in their 30s and 40s. I think there was like maybe a couple of people looked like they were in their 60s, but they were pretty eloquent, college-educated. They were asking them what happened when they were in the voting booth, and they seemed to be pretty intelligent people, so they were saying, contrary to what everybody thought, that it wasn't a bunch of old senile people. It was
right.
All,
I had lots of faxes yesterday from people who were like under the age of 100 who, and I looked at things, and I'm not a senile old fart yet, I'm getting close, but I looked at that thing, and unless you, the holes, see, the problem is it's illegal because even though Gore's name was listed second as on the page, the fact is he was listed as number 5. Bush was number 3, Buchanan was number 4, and Gore was number 5, and the hole opposite the name wasn't in line. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the Gore hole, if I maybe that's a new word we got. Gore hole is kind of like asshole. Goy hole. Yeah, the Goy hole was should have been the second hole. Not only does his name have to be listed second, but the hole that you punch has to be second. In addition to which, Florida law requires that the candidates even though both parties came up with this bozo ballot, they have to be listed on the same page. Now, you saw, were they on the same page?
No.
Of course not. They had that Monica, give me more head there on the bottom of the next page. Yeah, the Clinton write-in candidate.
They had, a couple of the people said that they even, some of the people, they say, punched 2 holes because they were confused, but one person said that because it was so confusing looking, he thought that he was supposed to punch for Al Gore and Joe Lieberman the way the names were.
Exactly, and that's where the 19,000 votes come out, because you know as well as I do, if you punch both holes for president, then your vote is invalidated.
Yep.
And when you got the 2 holes both in that same little box, gee, this is getting nasty. But you got a problem figuring out which one to stick.
I hate when that happens.
I know. That's what I'm hearing.
One girl was almost in tears. They were interviewing. She said that she realized she'd voted for Buchanan, and she had even like volunteered.
Well, let me ask you this: how would you feel if you're like an old Jew? You see Lieberman's on a ballot. Palm Beach County was, I think, number 1 in the world in hysterical old Jews lining up to vote for Jew Lieberman, and you go there to vote for this supposedly liberal guy, which he's not. But then you wind up voting for a fascist like Pat Buchanan.
And he was on TV, too.
It's like going to vote for Jaime Moskowitz and you wind up voting for Heinrich Himmler. I mean, you know, you're not too happy about it.
This Carl Hiaasen was on earlier this morning, and he says that you would have gotten more votes for Yasser Arafat in Palm Beach County than Pat Buchanan.
That is absolutely correct. Yes, sir.
And Pat Buchanan was on, too, and he even admitted, he says, obviously, if there were like 2 holes punched for president, they're Gore and Buchanan. He says, obviously, that it was Gore people that accidentally voted for me. Even he admitted it.
Yeah, his first reaction was kind of like you'd expect, but then yesterday, I guess he was lightening up and saying, if they really wanted to vote for somebody else, I don't want their votes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, listen, go vote again.
Yeah.
And if we do get the new election, which I think is going to happen, round them up.
Have a wonderful day.
And you too.
Okay.
See ya. Here's a mobile in D.C. Hello.
Yes, Neil, can you play a song, George Bush?
Yeah, okay. 5670560, a mobile in D.C. It's AC/DC. He's got his finger in it right now.
Rectum.
Uh-huh. Here's Plantation. Hello.
Hey, Neil, how you doing?
Okay.
Now we got all the boys backing up the getaway car. You got the Nunu and all these other guys on there saying, well, he's got to concede today. We got to get this thing over with. And,
yeah, they're in a big hurry.
We got to pull the switch.
And you know as well as I do that, you know what it's like when there's like in a hockey game, for example, which I don't want to mention last night, another disaster. But like if there's a dubious call, or in any sporting event, and then they want to get the game on, like in football, and nobody appeals a call. And then once they snap the ball, then they can't change their mind. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
and everybody is saying, "Oh, come on, snap the ball fast so they can't appeal it because we know we were wrong." And that's obvious. That's how these people are looking.
It's like when Bush knows the DNA's coming, he goes, "Kill him anyway." He won't. Dead men tell no tales.
Exactly.
The whole key to this is the boys are coming with the subpoenas, and payback will be a bitch.
Oh, you got it.
And that's the irony of it all, because that's the way things get done in this country.
I hear Janet's going to come down here personally. Just showed her weekly press conference this morning. She's coming down there personal and beat the crap out of him and knock him into shape.
When they start putting Jebster under oath. With these little deals going on here.
I mean, you talk about irregularities. Here were these boxes, 8 bags full of ballots in Volusia County disappeared, and then all of a sudden they showed up again. I mean, there were more desperate attempts to fix this election because they knew the black vote and the Jewish vote, that was what was going to put the nails in the coffin of the Bushmeister.
And one other thing, or two other things. Ed Rollins was found guilty of throwing walking around money on. Around. Remember that? He had $100 bills he was handing out to people to remember that? The scandal. And he's on there going, well, the honorable thing to do, and this is the way elections are run in this country, and this is everybody knows it, and this is the way elections are run. Now, a civics lesson and a cleanup.
Wait a second. I got to go. Just 1 second.
To be counted, we think if they're counted fairly, it'll be pretty clear that Al won Florida, won the electoral college as well as the popular.
Oh, I see. I panicked. I cut him off, but that's okay. His time was up. Still 9:41. But you really can't tell because you're dealing with millions, almost 6 million votes there. It's still 9:41. We don't have anything new, but as soon as we do, I'm on MSNBC, I'm on CNN, I'm on top of it. I'm in it, I'm out of it. Still 9:41. With 35 counties yet to be counted. All you can say is, and I'll say it again, some of those supposedly overseas ballots already were counted because they arrived before the deadline on election day, and they were counted. So, and the best part of the deal is they're saying, oh, we don't have any idea how many are yet to be counted. They have no idea. Nobody knows. Nobody knows the trouble we've seen. You got to say one thing, if nothing else. As screwed up as this state is, between all the stuff that goes on in Dade County with Alien and all the other garbage that goes on, and now this bogus election, at least we get some excitement. We don't have too much good excitement, but we get, whether it's bad excitement, but at least we get some excitement. Here's Miami Beach. Hello. Miami Beach.
Hi there.
Yes, sir.
Just wanted to point out, and I hate to cite the Herald as an example here, but in addition to the 19,120 votes in Palm Beach that were invalidated,
yes, sir,
there's an additional 17,000 in Dade
County. Yeah, that's right.
Okay. With one more thing, and I'll get off here.
In black areas of Dade County.
Yeah. If you look at the counties that have reported, there were two things that jump right out at you. In Duval County, Gore picked up 184 votes, 16 for Bush. You look at Palm Beach, and Gore picks up 751. If you just add those two together, that's almost all the votes that get counted in the Gore column. All the other counties are fairly close. But the two wide variances are Palm Beach and Duval.
Yeah, but don't forget, we haven't had Volusia County, which there was a big stink up there, and we also don't have Pinellas, which we know it's going to be 400 to 500 votes their Gore's going to pick up.
Yeah. One other thing, and then I'll get off here. All of the networks use a kind of a pooled computer system. Now, they know when they make a prediction, they know the vote count that they have, and they also have the sort of demographic idea of the way the vote should go. Now, on that basis, they predicted Gore. And then all of a sudden comes this cockamamie stuff that doesn't make any sense.
Right.
I don't think it was the networks that made a mistake. I think it's the skewed data that the Republicans provided.
Well, you know, it's funny because it was either Tim Russert or Bob Schieffer. I remember just minutes after they took back the early projection on Florida going to Gore. And one of the network pundits said, there's a problem with some of the precincts in Dade County. And as soon as I heard that, I thought, uh-oh, here we go.
Yeah, it was it's a strange election, for sure.
Okay, good luck to us.
Bye.
Here's a fact that says, as you know, this election has been pretty close, but in Florida, as long as 2 weeks ago, there were rumors that some kind of voter fraud would take place. We can see evidence of such fraud now, where Dade County took as long as New York State to count its votes. And in the process did not count 15,000 votes from black areas, claiming the votes were not okay, damaged. In West Palm Beach, there were 19,000 votes also not counted and discarded, and 3,000 more were counted for Buchanan intended for Gore. And it goes on about a little paranoia here. But, yeah, I'll say it again. Based on everything I'm hearing and reading this morning, those ballots are not legal. Because the hole isn't the second hole. Got to be delicate the way we describe this. But the Gore hole has to be right under the Bush hole. Remember that? The hip bone connected to the rib bone and the A hole connected to the B hole. And it was not. They stuck that Buchanan hole. Well, we know which hole that is.
He's an asshole.
They stuck that Buchanan hole in the middle. Not acceptable. And you bozo, and nobody, I don't hear anybody, including me, we're not suggesting that it was done to confuse people or that it was done in a partisan way. It was done by stupidity, because there's plenty of stupid Democrats and plenty of stupid Republicans, which both parties got together and approved that ballot crap in Palm Beach, that kind of a ballot. Unacceptable and illegal. Here's West Palm Beach. Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Okay.
Sounds like you're a little sour grapes there, liberal boy.
Well, what does that mean? Don't you think that whoever won the election should be the president, or
you're going to lose?
Yeah, asshole! What a moron! Sounds like a little sour grapes. Well, and what are you going to say? Are you going to be singing sour grapes? This is the kind of children, the kind of juvenile assholes that we're dealing with. Go back to New York, asshole. Go back to New York. What a moron! See, my philosophy is, whoever got the most votes, that's who should win. And since the election is determined, even though Gore's only ahead by about 100,000 in the popular vote, he's still ahead there. But that doesn't mean anything. Whoever wins the 270-plus electoral votes, he becomes the president. And I have this real bizarre, very partisan theory that whoever won the Florida election should get the 25 electoral votes. If Bush wins it, he's the president. If Gore wins it, he's the president. It's got nothing to do with sour grapes, but you're like an overgrown child. And what's really bugging you and you can't stand is the fact that everybody won't say, oh, okay, we're going to coronate King Bush here and just go ahead, you fixed it up real good and we're not going to fight it. We're going to be the great healers. That's not going to happen. Because that's what assholes like you would love to see happen, is see the Bush people with the governor with his brother, the two governors, helping each other, steal the election. Right in broad daylight. Are we going to let that happen?
No.
No, we're not. And then you're going to be squealing sour grapes all the way back to the Bronx. You New York asshole, you. 26 after 10 at 560 WQAM. If you're fat, and I'm sure that last guy's probably a lot fatter than I am, you can just envision him, can't you? One of those big New Yorkers with a huge, big beer belly, the big pupik. Ugh, enough to make you want to puke. Real hairy.
Floridians, dumb as dirt.
Okay, 10:30 at 560 WQAM. If we have any more overgrown children like the asshole, that New Yorker from Palm Beach County, don't waste your time, okay? You'll be on like 2 seconds. What's the point? Oh, we gotta win. It's gotta be our man. Like I said, I wasn't happy at 2:30 in the morning on Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, whatever it was, when they all declared Bush the winner, but I said, okay, that's it. Gave it a good shot. Didn't win it. I went to bed. I wake up yesterday morning, and lo and behold, it's still up in the air. It's in limbo. Que sera, sera. But this idea that, well, just let us steal it and stop crying sour grapes and let us run off into the sunset and steal the election, I don't think so. Let's coronate King George. No, I don't think so. And don't forget, King George had a bad lisp. Here's a mobile in West Palm. Hello.
Hey, Neil. How you doing?
Okay.
I'm a Republican in West Palm. I did vote on the ballot, and let me tell you, it was confusing. It needed a second look. I feel like you do. The bottom line is at 2:30 in the morning. I'm at this point with this election. Wherever the chips fall, let them fall.
Mm-hmm.
However, the one thing that you normally get really excited about, I don't understand. You got Jesse Jackson in flight, Al Sharpton in flight. Here they come.
First of all, let me tell you this. Al Sharpton should have his ass kicked out of the state, because Al Sharpton was sitting up there sucking Ralph Nader's butt in New York the day before the election, and he has no business being here. As far as Jesse's concerned, let him stir them all up. Why the hell not?
Okay, I'm not trying to cut you off.
I don't like Jesse Jackson any more than you do, although you got to admit that he's a Schmidt disturber.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you really believe that in South Florida, Volusia County, when we take the moronic level of this country all across America, that bags weren't dropped off here and delivered a day late here everywhere else? I mean, do you honestly believe that this is where it's happened? The only reason...
Well, let me ask you, how come we're not hearing about it anywhere else?
Because we're the state, baby. It's 25 votes. So now,
in addition to which, Palm Beach County, out of 67 counties, Palm Beach County was the only one that had the problems with the voter confusion because it's the only one that had the ballot screwed up.
No, I totally agree with that. And you know what? Throw the vote out. I don't believe in a re-vote because both parties agreed on it.
Well, what do you mean you don't believe in a re-vote? So you're going to disenfranchise all the people in Palm Beach County because the ballot was illegal? That's not the way it works. Those people have a right to have their vote counted. I mean, I'm sure you'd like to see that because then that cinches it for Bush, but that's not the way it works. Those people just can't be told, well, we gave you an illegal ballot, so therefore you can't vote. Of course not. Those people still have a right to cast their vote.
Who gave us an illegal ballot?
Who gave it to you? The powers that be in Palm Beach, Democrats and Republicans. Whoever the ones were, the people were responsible for that illegal ballot.
Supervisor of election, Democrat.
It doesn't make any difference. You want to do it on a technicality. I'm not saying that.
No, I do not.
I'm not saying it was done partisan. I'm saying it was done by ineptness, and the ballot is illegal.
Okay, Neil, let's go one step further, and I'll leave you alone.
Okay.
All right. As I said to you already, at this point, don't even. It really doesn't matter to me because you know as well as I do, both of them are puppets. They're not their own men.
Yeah.
So it really doesn't matter. I mean, as far as I'm concerned.
No, I don't know. Look, let's face it. I mean, I grant you it was a terrible choice, and I've said that from the beginning. But the fact is, can't we agree on whoever won the most votes should get the election?
Neil, absolutely no doubt in my mind.
Okay.
Emphatically, yes.
Okay. Good luck to us.
Thank you.
Thanks. 98 votes in our poll. Should Palm Beach County be given another election? 83 yes, 15 no. Over 80%. Well over 80%. Say yes. And I think that's what you're going to see happen. Now it's 85.5% on the new reload here. Squirt, it's reloading. MSNBC is doing something, which I don't know if CNN, I'm not going to turn it because I feel I got to keep watching that. So the second that there's a change, we can pass it along to you. But at the bottom right-hand corner, in fact, at the bottom of the screen, they're showing the actual popular vote in Florida. And in the right-hand corner, it shows Bush leads by 941. They're going to keep changing that immediately as soon as new numbers are released in this county-by-county recount. They got till 7 o'clock tonight to do it, and there's no reason why they shouldn't be able to do it faster than that. It is absolutely unbelievable. Here's Boca. Hello.
Hey, Neil, I'm so glad I got to follow that guy. Let me answer him very quickly. The reason you're not hearing about this in other states, they don't have Jeb Bush as their governor.
Mm-hmm. Thank God.
Oh, my God. I remember the first time that he ran against Childs, I'm saying to myself, you know, what is Jeb Bush doing in Florida? What's his connection to Florida? And
probably the same thing Hillary was doing in New York, I would imagine.
Well, let me just take this a step further.
Trying to grab some power.
Well, yeah, but I think this is an orchestrated plan from way back then.
Of course it is, just like the Kennedys did the same thing. The powerful, rich, these are the people, the Roosevelts, the Rockefellers, the Kennedys, the Bushes. This is an aristocracy that we've got. These are the goddamn emperors of the universe here.
Absolutely. They didn't roll George Bush out, or George W. out on us until they had Jeb set up down here in Florida.
Right, and they got Jeb waiting in the wings.
Yeah.
This time he's shot himself in both feet.
I hope so. Neil, let me ask you, if you were going to pick one state in this country to corrupt an election, which one would it be?
You're in it, pal.
Absolutely.
Open the window and look around. You can smell it.
I want everybody to open their eyes widely and see what's going on. And thank God, I think it's finally starting to come to light. And I just don't think that there's any way that they can give this thing to Bush. I think,
to quote a famous football coach who turned out to be a real asshole, we got a shot.
Absolutely.
Have a great day, pal.
All right.
Joe Costello, 6 to 7 Saturday morning, and this week, Sunday, 9 a.m. till noon, because of that big NASCAR thing down there, live from the event. So all you motorsports people, the infamous Joe Costello, 2 chances for the price of 1, and actually when some people are awake, Sunday morning from 9 to noon. Look for Defo in a QM van at the Citgo gas station, corner of 177th and Collins Avenue, Miami Beach, noon to 2. They'll have the best of meal CDs, cassettes, T-shirts, and keychains. That's the Citgo gas station, corner of 177th and Collins Avenue, Miami Beach.
Boy!
Noon to 2 with Defo, who's everywhere. That man is he's at the hockey game out there on the ice. Got booed roundly, too, I should point out. Here's a mobile in Pompano. Hello.
Hey, Neil, how you doing?
Great.
Listen, I can't agree with what that last caller said. The caller before you had a little bit on the money. I mean, you know, a lot of things bother me and a lot of other people about this election. I voted in Palm Beach. I looked at that. I put it in the slot, and I said, this is a little confusing. But I took 5 or 10 seconds, and I said, okay, here's who I'm voting for, and here's how it goes. The thing that bothers me the most is this. If the ticket or the form was bad and they didn't correct it before it happened, that's too bad. If you punch the wrong hole...
Wait a minute. What do you mean it's too bad?
Well, you know what? If they looked at it and they signed it...
Wait a minute. I want you to calm down for a minute. Take a breath and listen to me.
All right.
The race for Congress between Elaine Bloom and Clay Shaw, which Shaw allegedly was ahead by 563 at the last count. There were some precincts in their district in Palm Beach County, because that district is part of Palm Beach and Dade and Broward, right along the coast, that didn't even have her name on the ballot. Now, are you suggesting because the ballot was wrong there that you should just say, well, too bad, I lost because...
Absolutely not. The point.
Then what are you saying? If the ballot is illegal, then those votes can't count.
All right, let me tell you. The point I'm trying to make is this. They knew, just looking at that ballot, they should have known that it was illegal, number one. And number two, the people that thought that they voted for the wrong person, why did they wait until they voted and put their tickets in the ballot box before they came up with the idea that, hey, I might have voted for the wrong person?
Well, let me ask you this. What do you do if you've already put your ballot in that box, and I voted bright and early on Tuesday morning? What do you do if you do that? You're going to go back in and say, okay, you got to open the box and go through all the ballots, and we have to go through the computer numbers and try to match up which one is mine? That's not going to happen.
Absolutely not. Yeah, you're right. So how can they do it? They can't re-vote this election.
Sure they can. In Palm Beach County, they can, naturally. If the courts declare that the ballot was vague or that it was even illegal, sure they can do it in Palm Beach.
Let me ask you one question, Neil. How do they correlate? Like when I got the card, the first thing I looked at, I signed my name, I got the card, and I said, well, how do they know this is my vote? There's no correlation.
There evidently somewhere on that card there's a barcode. Somebody called and explained it yesterday. I thought just like you do that they couldn't tell who. There's a barcode on the top part that they tear off and they put in that envelope, and the same one matches up that goes in the ballot box.
Well, I'll tell you what. If they can do that, then I am for. I'm neither one of them for these two meatballs. I can't believe that the Democratic or Republican Party couldn't come up with anybody better than this.
Right.
But if they can do that, if they can literally match up who voted for who and when, they should do it. And the thing that bothers me the most is that, and it really does bother me, you may think it's not, and I'm not for Gore and I'm not for Bush, is that Gore couldn't win his home state. If he won his home state, when
you run for on a national election, you don't have to win specific states, whether it's your home. That's the dumbest thing I ever heard in my life. He couldn't win his home state. What difference does that make? In addition to which, Tennessee is one of the most Republican Yahoo redneck states in the history of mankind, and becoming more Republican by every minute. I mean, if that's the case, we could have had just the election. They could have just voted in Tennessee and Texas. And then said, okay, well, Bush won Texas and Gore lost Tennessee, so that's it. End of election. Bush is the king. Now, that's pretty silly. He couldn't win his home state. Oh, they couldn't win on their home field. That's it. I see it's that sports thing again. Isn't that what it is? Yeah.
The Neil Rogers Show. Sports Radio 560 QAM.
Okay, here's a fax that says, one question, why in Palm Beach County on the top of the ballot was George Bush's name first and not Gore? I spoke to my mom in Maryland, and on her ballot, Al Gore was on top. I can answer that very easily. The state law requires that whichever party has the gubernatorial, has the governor of that state, this state it's Jeb Bush being a Republican, and Maryland, of course, is a Democrat. So that's why Al Gore was listed first. Whoever the candidate of that party is for president shall be listed first, the governor. And whoever won the second most votes in the gubernatorial election, the most recent election, has to be listed second. That's where a big part of this problem lies. That even though Gore's name was under the Bush name, the hole that you punch for Al Gore wasn't directly opposite. We got a hole problem. Where the hell was I just reading about here? It says Representative Robert Wexler, who's on MSNBC right now, produced a memo from Lepore, that brought up there the elections supervisor in Palm Beach County, to poll workers, telling them to remind voters only to vote for one candidate and follow the numbered arrow to the hole. Wexler said it showed Lepore knew there was a problem. Pam Iorio, head of the Florida State Association of Supervisors of Election, said Palm Beach County was the only county in the state to use the so-called butterfly ballot formation. Iorio, the election supervisor for Hillsborough County, said the ballot configuration is up to the county supervisor. And then it goes on to say a single ballot page of presidential candidates is the preferred design used in Michigan and Illinois, for example. In Los Angeles, they had 7. It said we had no ballot capacity issues. Connie McCormick, registrar recorder for Los Angeles County, which has 4.1 million registered voters. They had 7 candidates on one page, which is all the candidates who were running, including Monica Hard, whatever that was. But not in Palm Beach. In Palm Beach, confusion, and the idea that you're going to disenfranchise people and accept their votes based on a technicality, based on, oh, you should have known better, that's not acceptable. That's not the American effing way. And speaking of that, here's Norm Kent.
So I want to echo what Congressman Wechtler said. And you asked me the question, what's the problem with the Palm Beach County ballot the other day? And I went back and did some research.
Uh-huh.
The bottom line is that the Palm Beach County ballot is statutorily defective. Even if confusion was not an issue amongst the voters, and I want people to understand this because any citizen can make this claim, whether they're Republican or Democrat. 101.191 of Florida law, it's a one-sentence statute. It reads so simply. It says the general election ballot shall be in the following form. To vote for a candidate whose name is printed on the ballot, mark a cross in the blank space at the right of the name of the candidate for whom you desire to vote. And the words at the right are in capital letters, bold. What this Palm Beach County election commissioner did is, on her own, she changed what the state ballot must legally be.
Mm-hmm.
She said she did it because she wanted elderly voters to be able to see it better. That's all well and good, but what she did was the statutorily designated government official violated the state laws to what a ballot should legally be.
Mm-hmm.
And she made an illegal ballot. And the proper judicial remedy ultimately could be to declare all the votes for president that were made in Palm Beach County null and void, order a new election just for president on a ballot that is constitutionally and statutorily proper. It's that simple. She on her own changed what the state ballot must be. We've looked at her ballot, compared it to all the other 66 counties in the state. This is the only one that's wrong.
Yeah.
So there you go. It's very conceivable that separate and apart from whether or not Gore or Bush concedes this afternoon based on the recount.
Oh, that's not going to happen.
That a group of citizens on their own challenging this ballot could find in a court that the ballot was illegal, improper, and order a re-election just as the president as to those people who voted last Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
That's what could happen.
Now, what would be a reasonable time frame if they did grant Palm Beach another election?
I think that
because the electors, don't the electors vote like in early January?
They vote. Actually, they meet on December 18th. So what could reasonably happen is this could speed through the courts within the space of 7 to 10 days,
mm-hmm.
and they could designate a revote within 30 days. Only allowing those people, since people, when they vote, they have to, as you know, sign the form.
Right.
Allowed those people who voted on November 7th
right.
to come back to
mm-hmm.
Palm Beach County alone and let them vote solely for the presidential race on a ballot that is statutorily acceptable.
Well, that should be pretty easy because they have all of those voter registration rules and all the signatures, so they know who is entitled to vote.
Right. It is not that difficult a task to pull off, and to pull it off within 30 days. They can designate a special election and prepare a new ballot overnight.
So I was right before when I said that the ballot in Palm Beach was illegal.
No question in my mind, no question in the mind of anybody that's a lawyer of any sort, that the ballot in Palm Beach is illegal. It's directly attributable to the negligence on the part of the government official that prepared the ballot. And it doesn't matter, as Congressman Mark Foley tried to say last night on Larry King Live. Congressman Mark, I'm very deep in the you-know-what, Foley,
mm-hmm.
Tried to say that, well, this was published in advance and people had a right to look at it in advance. That's legally inconsequential, Mark. The point is the burden's upon the government official to prepare an acceptable ballot. And the fact that nobody challenged it in advance just doesn't matter.
Right. Okay, so it's looking up.
There you go.
Thanks, Norm. We actually got cigars from Nick's.
He sent a special messenger up.
Muchas gracias, amigo.
Actually, one of their fine customers that you're responsible
Thank you so much. Thanks, Nick. And that Frank, we got the pimp out of there. See, Nick got the pimp out in the car business. He got the middleman out and sales factory director. We got our middleman, Frank Jackass, there in sales. We got him out of the picture. Believe me. Okay, so there you have it, right from the illegal beagle's horse's mouth. Palm Beach County Commissioner Bert Aronson, in discussing the alleged votes for Buchanan, said, "I don't think we have 3,000 Nazis in Palm Beach County." Nice going, Bert. Yeah. Oh. Woo. 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon wireless line. Nothing new on a recount. Here's the facts. It says, I sent a copy of the ballot to some friends, and this reply came from one of the most intelligent women I know. He says, would you believe that we are two of those people in Palm Beach County? We registered to vote in Florida because we knew Gore needed our votes in Florida more than in Illinois, and so we requested absentee ballots. When the ballots arrived, I opened the envelopes to use them. I was taken aback by the layout of the names. I had to sit down with a straight edge and line up my selections with a circle to be pierced. Then I did the same for Harry's ballot and took nearly 15 minutes to complete the process. Can you imagine voters facing this situation in a booth, a line of voters waiting outside to get their votes cast and go on about their business? I'm beginning to wonder if even I voted accurately. There should be a new election with a revised ballot for voters in that district, etc., and so on. Amen. Nice going, Ludmilla. Here's Deerfield Beach. Hello.
Yeah, Neil, I work in one of these Alpaca communities in Boca, and you got to see the chaos that's going on in there. It's the funniest thing. The best laugh I had in a while. And these people, they think they voted for Heinrich Buchanan, and he must be having the best laugh of his life.
No, not now. He's not. Now he's become very repentant about the whole thing and says that if these votes weren't intended for him, that they ought to go to Gore and whoever they were intended for.
And he's a good man.
At least for today, anyway.
Thanks, Neil.
Okay, thanks. Here's one. That's Maureen Dowd's column. She says, "Oh heck, let's just keep Clinton." That's what I said. Yeah, nice going, Maureen. I agree. Let's call the whole thing off and just keep Bubba in there for a few years till, who cares about the goddamn Constitution anyway? Here's Coral Gables. Hello.
Hey, Neil.
Yes, sir.
I agree there should be a re-election, but they should re-elect they should do a whole state re-election.
Why?
Well, obviously Palm Beach is a very Democratic county, so you're going to have one very Democratic county doing a re-election. That's
they don't do re-election. It's not a question of whether it's what. Yeah. In other words, I can't say anything in response to that. Okay, go ahead and make your little speech. Go ahead.
I looked at the ballot.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that if you voted on that ballot and I voted on that ballot, we would have voted for the person we wanted. Now, because somebody says they can't see, or sour grapes, or they can't...
It's very obvious to anybody listening to you, including me, that you're trying to talk your way out of this. It isn't going to work. And we just before you, we had Norm on there talking about the fact that the Palm Beach County ballot doesn't conform with state election law. It's an illegal ballot. So the fact that you like the current outcome, or the fact that you would like to have another statewide vote, which would give the Bush machinery an opportunity to have another set of there's no way that we can afford to go through that embarrassment again. No chance. See, this guy's problem is he knows Palm Beach is heavily Democratic. He knows that there's 20,000 votes, mostly black votes, that got ripped off with the double piercing in there. See, don't get the double piercings, man. It's bad for your health. And that these old Jews that voted for Buchanan who wanted to vote for Gore, he knows it's a lost cause. You're trying to talk your way out of it. I want to say something to you in all fairness, in all honesty. George W. Bush ran about this business of bringing integrity back to government and who's the most honest and who's the most honorable and getting all this bull crap out. Well, if that's the case, then how come he and his henchmen there are forming their goddamn transition team, and they keep trying to talk themselves into it like, okay, let's concede already, we won. As opposed to saying, we're going to go along with whatever process is necessary to make sure that whoever actually won the vote is going to be the next president. I haven't seen one slight bit of humility, of fairness, of anything, because it's not in their vocabulary. The Bush family doesn't know the meaning of those words. Any of them. They have this sense of entitlement. It's his to have, and nobody's going to take it away from him. So please don't give me this song to dance about it's not fair because it's in Palm Beach County. Now, if it would have been in Duval County, for example, Where even there, Gore wound up getting screwed out of 400 votes in the recount. He got 400 more. If it would have been in some heavily Republican county, then he'd be singing a different tune. You don't have re-elections based on the political preference of the people in that area. You do it on whether the election was legal and proper or not, and it wasn't. Much to his dismay. 10:56, and don't even forget this is all over and above the challenge to the absentee ballots, which stink to high heaven on top of it. Which also should help to explain to you why all the networks declared Gore the winner based on all the information, the exit polling, the breakout that they had of the real absentee ballots. They factored that all in. And then because I remember Mary Magdalene getting all whiny about, they got all those absentee ballots, so these networks are going to be sorry. And Bill, what's his name, Schneider got very upset about that on CNN and said, we take that into consideration. We have that information. That's part of our thing, of all the statistics we put in there. But as the night went on, all of a sudden 350,000 became 500,000, became 1 million absentee ballots, and God only knows where they came from.
Sports Radio 560 WQAM Miami, Fort Lauderdale, a Beasley Broadcast Group station, and WQAM.com for the world.
This is the Neil Rogers Show. This is your brain. Any questions?
Just go away. There. No, they're not saying go away. They're very nice and polite, but there are no new numbers. And yesterday, the decision was made to release these numbers county by county as they came in. What we're trying to find out is, have they changed their mind? Are they going to release them all at once for some reason? But right now, no new numbers.
Just an indication to our viewers, too. There was a room just in front of us here that we apparently are going to get numbers released possibly by paper form when they come in, but again, that's not completely clear just yet. Other thing we want to point out right now, James Baker, who is the lead surrogate, the former Secretary of State, is standing out here in the plaza with reporters right now. He apparently is going to talk more about his dealings with the Secretary of State, Katherine Harris, here in the state of Florida.
Yes, his role, along with William Christopher's role, who was the surrogate for Gore, is to kind of oversee this process of the recounts and leading up to the certification of the results. But how do you do that, frankly? I mean, if he sat upstairs and oversaw anything, it would be someone taking a phone call or a fax. And we'll have to find out what more there is to this, because what's going on is really outside of Tallahassee in terms of looking at ballots that were voided and things such as that.
We talked with James Baker earlier this morning live here on CNN. He was quick to point out that there is no evidence right now, any indications of foul play. Republicans are not making that charge in any sense. More in a second with Mike, but first back to Atlanta and Darren Kagan. There is breaking news in another part of the country. Darren, back to you.
That's right, Bill, and of course, before all the questions of what happened in Florida, there were a lot of questions on election night about what was taking place in Missouri. Questions now being raised by Senator Kit Vaughn of Missouri. Let's go ahead and listen in.
Starts. To me, this is prima facie evidence that there was a scheme underway to have the voting polls kept open in the Democratic areas. With me is Thor Hearn, an attorney who was monitoring that process and participated in overturning the order of the court. But in that process, we found other acts of apparent willful dereliction, at least dereliction of duty, when dozens of ballot boxes are left unguarded, when we hear evidence that judges may have improperly allowed unregistered voters to vote, when we hear of a number of the activities that went on, I think the evidence and
a major criminal enterprise. Wow. First of all, Bush won Missouri very handily, although the Carnahan thing, now they're pissed off at the dead man. But, I brought that up. I brought that up first thing yesterday morning about the fact that this judge, let's let the people in St. Louis, which of course is mostly very heavily black and a lot of Democrats, let's let them all vote in under 3 hours. And then the other judge said, no, I don't think so. So they did get like a certain amount of extra voting time, and whether that was enough to make the difference in the senatorial election remains to be seen. How do you like that? Zion America, baby. Here's the mobile in Boca. Hello.
Hi, Neil. How you doing?
Okay.
I just wanted to echo something that Norm said. I live in Boca Raton, and there's nothing that's been said really about this butterfly, ballot. But one thing that really hasn't been brought out is the instructions that were provided by the election, the supervisor election, told you to mark your selection to the right of the candidate. Nothing was ever mentioned about any candidate on the left-hand side of the ballot. The instructions were wrong.
Say that again. The instructions were to mark your what?
The instructions that were provided to us, they all shipped us a booklet.
Right, I know. I have that here somewhere.
Okay. On the instruction page on how to vote, it tells you to make your mark and punch all the way through to the right of the candidate. How can you do that if you have candidates on the left-hand side of the page?
In other words, you couldn't, if you wanted to vote for Buchanan, you'd have to vote to the left of his name.
Right.
Vote to the right.
I never thought about that. That's an excellent point. Excellent. So even the instructions were invalid.
The instructions were invalid.
Right.
I don't know if anybody's ever addressed that. I've never heard that on the national news.
So I think Buchanan ought to protest too.
Absolutely, because anything
and maybe Monica's more head.
Yeah. But
good point. Okay, thanks, pal. Excellent point.
Okay, have a good day.
You too. How do you like that? So it totally screwed it up in Palm Beach, as opposed they've only had 70 million elections in Palm Beach County over the years, just like all the rest of us. But as opposed to just doing it the good old-fashioned way that seems to work all the rest of the time, no, we have to come up with something new and innovative and exciting and confusing. And anybody who saw the long lines at the polling places on Tuesday realizes that you feel a certain amount of urgency, no matter how old and feeble you are, or maybe how much, whatever your other circumstance may be, a certain amount of responsibility to hustle along and get it done, as opposed to just standing there hovering over the goddamn ballot trying to figure it out for a half an hour. You can't do that. It is absolutely mind-boggling. Here's Sunrise. Hello.
Neil, you've got some of these people calling saying, Democrat, election supervisor approved this, both parties looked at it. They fail to note that the principal right for a legal and unconfusing ballot belongs to the voters. Right. It really doesn't matter if it was Democrats, Republicans, whatever. The voters have the principal right when it comes to voting. They have the right to a clear and legal ballot.
Right. In addition to which, if I were sitting here or anybody else were pointing a finger and saying, oh, well, this was designed intentionally to confuse the voters, nobody is saying that. Nobody is saying it was done intentionally for that reason, but the end result and the outcome is what's in doubt.
Exactly. Have you checked out bushwatch.com recently?
Yes.
Because they have links to other stories. There are problems in other counties. I don't know if you're going to get to them. One of the most egregious, they got a link to a CBS News story, is about Volusia County.
Right.
Which I don't know if that's one of the counties that's reported in the recount.
No, not yet.
I don't know if you read that James Harris, the socialist candidate,
right,
got, and this is on Bushwatch, got 9,888 votes in Volusia County.
Uh-huh.
He had a total statewide of 10,471.
Uh-huh.
So over 90% of his votes, over 90% of his votes came from Volusia County. That is very hard to believe. It's not the People's Republic of Volusia County.
Unbelievable.
The second thing is in Duval County, which you mentioned briefly before, is also on Bushwatch. In fact, I emailed this to them. They have a link to a Washington Post article. 9%, over 9%, almost 1 out of 10 ballots in Duval County had no selection for president. Now, Neil, this was an election where there were 10 candidates on the ballot. Back in the old days, when they only gave you Republican, Democrat, maybe you could make an argument as a protest, people would leave President blank. But are they trying to tell me that people who actually went to the polls and who actually voted, that almost 1 out of 10 wanted to leave President blank? I don't believe that. And that this is also on Bushwatch. I recommend everybody go to Bushwatch. They have the links to the articles, the original sources, Orlando Sentinel, CBS News. I mean, some of this other crap is unbelievable. And I'm wondering if some of this is what the delay is here on the recount. There hasn't been a new county posted today, and I believe up until last night. It's been some time, so it's pretty interesting.
We're keeping our eye on it.
Yeah, the Bush brothers are at work.
Okay, thanks.
Take care.
Yeah, there's nothing new, like Bill Hummer and that guy said a couple of minutes ago, but CNN is doing the same thing, monkey see, monkey do. I don't know which one started it, but it's a good idea. They're keeping the count right at the bottom of the screen. Still Bush ahead by 941, but they still have 35 more counties to recount, plus the mysterious number of overseas ballots, which who knows what that's going to be and when they're all going to get here and how many have already been counted, and they have till November 17th, which is 8 more days. Now, somebody sends me a copy of the Broward ballot, which I voted on that, and is this illegal? It says, punch the second spot on your absentee ballot to vote for Gore, and you just voted for Bush. Which I don't understand that, because it looks pretty clear to me. I don't get that. But at any rate, and again, you really don't know anything, because if you don't see the holes, if you can't see the hole where the hole is, and I know there are a lot of folks who have a problem with that, but otherwise it doesn't mean anything. 10 past 11 at 560 WQM.
Only in the Banana Republic, baby. Only in Miami.
And Palm Beach.
Everybody's taking a brand new pill now. No more babies, take a pill abortion. If there's something inside of you making you ill now. No more babies, take a pill abortion. No doctor visits, it's so easy to do. You just pop on a bead if the stick turns blue. So come on, take a pill abortion finally.
Oh, look at this. We got another rally coming up. maybe we'll even have a potluck supper. I think let's leave the rallies to Jesse, you know what I'm saying? For all of you who are outraged by the, this is unbelievable. In South Miami, is there any reason to have a rally in South Miami that I can figure out? No. Cut the crap. Every time we have some kind of a problem, we have all these people who want to go out and party in the streets and make a little...
From Bob Kuntz again?
Probably.
Because he's involved now. You know, he's on the case.
Oh, I do know that. He sent me a fax yesterday congratulating me on what a wonderful job I'm doing, which, coming from you, Bob, it has no credibility whatsoever, so save our fax paper. And I'm sure that even though his name isn't on this, they think they can suck me into... We don't promote all kinds of rallies when there's no need for them. Jesse's got his his people out there, and they're doing their thing, and they were disenfranchised and treated... I'm trying to find... There are only 8,000 articles in both papers here. The one about where the black people were like... black men were stopped by FHP guys at the ballot places and had their criminal records checked and were turned away. I mean, they did everything in their power to discourage black turnout in this state. Can't imagine why, can you? No. The fact that they voted 93% for Gore. Can't figure that out. Not that there was any pattern in this state of just absolute sheer voter fraud on Tuesday. Then we had that roadblock up there in Tallahassee, which just coincidentally in a very heavily black area was only 1.4 miles from the polling place, where they were just pulling everybody over there because they wanted to save gas. Yeah, that's right. It's part of their gas conservation program. Oh, this is just beautiful. Yeah, let's have recounts in Wisconsin and Iowa. Now, here's one that's interesting that conflicts with what Norm said before. It says, I have to disagree with you are using is voting machine ballots, which is covered under 101.27. That's the statute that gives authority to the county supervisors of elections. I'm not an attorney, just a citizen who can read and has a web connection. So anyone who wants to try to get a revote based on faulty ballot design won't find what they're looking for in the statute that Norm cited. So, 293 votes on our poll. Should Palm Beach be given another election? 228 say yes, that's 78%. 65 say no, that's 22%. It says apparently the Monday morning quarterback, Republicans complaining about the dumb Democrats who were confused by the Palm Beach ballots have never heard of Murphy's Law, saying that if something can go wrong, it will. It's easy to see the arrows on the ballots when shown on TV and in the papers after their leader pointed it out to them. That's why we have product testing with real consumers before the product goes on the general market. Medical procedures are changed when even well-trained, intelligent doctors find ways to screw them up. Likewise, airlines crash when their well-trained crews are given new procedures that haven't been well-designed or thought out properly. Hello? Kendall?
Yes, hello.
Yes, sir.
I'd like a brief history lesson.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait, just 1 second. We got a new tally. Bush's lead is now 35 of 67 counties, 799.
Oh, good.
It's getting closer.
Excellent. I don't know if all your listeners are aware of it, but Jeff has been a business partner with one of the major developers out here for years and years.
Uh-huh.
And if I don't spell something rotten there, I mean, what is it?
Mm-hmm. Just like the thing with the citrus canker program.
Well, I don't want to get into that right now, but I've been giving the citrus canker workers a big house salute because that's how I feel about them.
Uh-huh.
What I recommend is somebody needs to take a close look at the financial connection here between the Republican Party and Jeb's business contacts down here. Something just smells funny because I've got a neighbor that's an election worker, and she's saying all sorts of things started going screwy yesterday afternoon when it became apparent that GW wasn't winning like he should have.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks, pal. Whatever you say. So now they're talking about recounts in Wisconsin and Iowa and maybe even in New Hampshire where Bush won, but with only 7,200 votes out of more than 500,000, and on it goes. See, they can drum up all kinds of recounts, which is fine. I don't see any problem with that. I mean, like I said, whoever actually got the most votes should win. But the fact is that up until now, were we hearing about any voter irregularities in Wisconsin?
No.
Iowa?
No.
New Hampshire?
No.
No. That isn't to say that there couldn't have been any, because this, after all, is America, land of the free and the corrupt. But it just seems kind of strange. It seems like it's a reach. Like, well, just in case, we better cover our ass, just in case this Florida thing blows up in our face, we better start getting the machinery going somewhere else. Here's Surfside. Hello. Blow out your ass, idiot. 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon wireless line. Here's Hallandale. Hello.
Yeah, hi, Neil. I have a question to ask you. With that, the whole voter fraud in Palm Beach County, they permitted themselves. If I wanted as a protest, if I had neither of the presidential candidates, there were other things for me to vote on for the issues. For example, for the train.
Yeah.
Nowhere in the instructions does that say you make a protest vote and this nullifies everything else that you voted on. What right do they have to fill out those ballots? Because there are other issues on those ballots. Does that mean my vote was not counted?
That is correct.
And that means there's a violation of state law. Where the hell is our state attorney? I demand a new recount in Palm Beach County.
Okay, calm down. Take a Milltown and just go over in the corner there and relax. Empty the bag out. No, I mean, he's just a little bit too exercised. I'm worried about him. He's right, and he's got a right to be exercised, but just calm down a little bit. Man. And, of course, you just have to wonder about those. Now, you say Bill Nelson won by 5 points, which made it suspicious that Gore might lose the state. You have to really believe now that Bill Nelson probably won by significantly more than 5 points, like at least a couple, maybe 2-3 points more than that. So let me say it again. 35 of 67 counties have been recounted now, and the Bush lead has dwindled another 142 votes. It's down to 799, with still 32 counties to go. Now, you're following the math on this? Are you seeing how close this is? Because when he started, he had 1,784 vote lead. Half of that would be 800 and some odd. So he's lost a little more than half of the vote with a little more than half of the counties. And even though, some of the big counties already have been recounted, like Dade and Broward and Palm Beach. But keep in mind, I'm sure, I don't know which additional counties we had here, because if Pinellas County, I doubt that that's in that total.
When he was asked about the ballots that appear to have been punched twice, he said, well, the usual case is that you throw a ballot like that out. It's invalid. And when he was asked about confusing ballots, he said, well, that's something that election officials, Democratic and Republican, should have caught earlier. He did also say that we should remember that this is a legal process rather than a political process. He didn't go any further than that, but one could take that to mean that the Bush campaign is going to make something of the Gore campaign's decision to seize on every irregularity that has been found down in the state of Florida. Stephen?
Gene, I know it's logical to expect that we won't hear from the governor until he's actually got something to say, but we're all fascinated to know how he's spending his time.
No, we're not the least bit fascinated to know how he's spending the time, if he's twiddling his thumbs, if he's got his finger up his rectum. You idiots on CNN, man, you make me sick. We're all fascinated to know if he's having a good bowel movement, if he's got like wild diarrhea now. People in the media, and Tom Jick got a good column in the Sun Sentinel about the early projections and that it's got to stop. It has to come to an end. Nice going there, Tommy boy. Amen. The wild frenzy. Who can be first? Who can screw up the election the best? And it would seem to me that no matter which side you're on, whether you like Gore or Bush, that you ought to be really pissed off with the networks, because they cost both candidates votes. We had somebody call in yesterday, I think from Margate, wherever it was, who was online, and he and a friend were going to vote for Gore, and somebody had one of those little TVs there. They were online. The lines, as you saw, were gigantic in a lot of places around the state. And all of a sudden, the networks declared Gore wins Florida. And they, instead of waiting on those long lines, they got in their car, turned around, and went home. And then the people up there in the Panhandle, which is more Republican territory, they also probably didn't bother voting because the networks, just evidently somebody must have forgot that they're on Central Time up there in Pensacola, in that not heavily populated area, but nevertheless, in an election this close, every vote's got to count. And everybody has a right to make the vote intelligently and not be swayed by early hysteria and panic fomented by the media. Shame on them. Here's a lady mobile in Miami. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, hi. I actually live in Weston, but I'm in Miami now in my car.
Okay.
I spent 2 days on the telephone to MSNBC.
Uh-huh.
That left I don't know how many kinds of messages because I'm really not in a Gore-friendly neighborhood where I am at.
Mm-hmm.
But I myself did vote for Gore, but this is not a political issue. I'm outraged. I have friends all over the country that have been calling me just yesterday, California, Pennsylvania, New York, that are telling me, what the heck is going on down there? But nobody seems to understand that there are this many reports of irregularities, nationally speaking. And I think if we got the public behind the people down here, particularly the Palm Beach people, which is inevitable, that obviously the count there is just completely incorrect.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention that, if you live here, we constantly are hearing about 20, 30, 40 different irregularities in several counties, not just one. And it seems every time they give us a report on the count of the vote, already Gore now has picked up over half of the margin.
Right.
Why is it all Gore? This can't be a coincidence.
No, it's not all Gore. Bush in fact, Bush in Broward County gained the net of one vote in Broward. So he's getting...
yes, no, I understand that Bush is getting a few votes to every, 2 and 3/3 of them.
Right.
To Gore, and it's going up to counties. They've already counted 35 counties,
mm-hmm.
and so the question is all Gore. When you hear about the irregularities, Volusia County, Palm Beach County, ballots being lost right here in Broward County, 9 o'clock at night on election night. They hadn't announced Bush yet. There were local media people on our local Channel 7 News saying that they're standing there at where they were counting the ballots, and 9 boxes were missing for 3.5 hours. Just as a citizen, the other people in this country, which the population had voted for Gore as it stands right now, there's questions that need to be answered, and just because the national media make a statement, that doesn't make it so.
Yeah.
I was listening to MSNBC, and Chris Matthews says, look, if there's people confused in Palm Beach on the ballot, then why don't you ask for assistance? Well, there was, I heard...
Well, first of all, a lot of people didn't know that they were confused. They thought that they were doing the right thing.
Well, not only that, I heard on 3 different channels people call in and say they were working at the election polls in Palm Beach County.
Yeah.
And they were volunteering to help, and people were constantly asking them about that question.
And they said they didn't have enough people to assist everybody that wanted to ask questions. That's one of the things I heard.
And one lady actually said that in her, where she was working, they told her she specifically could not tell people to punch the number for Gore. But that was not allowed.
Yeah. Okay, sweetheart, strap yourself in. It's getting real tight. 28 after 11 at 560 WQM.
The Neil Rogers Show. Sports Radio 560 QAM.
Okay, 11:32 at QM. This is great. Bluff just brought in the Palm Beach Post. Big front page with a picture of Bush and Gore. Ballot Bedlam is the headline.
Oh!
Ongoing recount cuts Bush lead from 1776 to 782. I don't know where they got that number. But at any rate, the current or up to the moment number is Bush's ahead by 799 votes, with 32 counties still to do their recount. They have till 7 o'clock tonight to do it, but I have a feeling it's going to be a lot sooner than that. We'll see if it continues going down, and the number 2. If it continues dwindling and dwindling and dwindling. And you'll notice that the Bush people at no point have said that they'll abide by whatever the findings are. They made some kind of a generalized weak statement yesterday. But they haven't really said that they'll abide by whatever the final decisions are. And now that we got James Baker down here, yeah. Now here is a rally that I'm going to promote. Got a fax that says, A grassroots rally is scheduled for 3 p.m. today at the Town Center Mall in Boca Raton. The location will be in the parking lot facing Glades Road in front of the restaurant Fridays and Stir Crazy. It's expected that there will be TV coverage and possible appearances from Congressman Wexler and or Jesse Jackson, depending on their schedules. The DNC in Washington has reported positively. The purpose is to demand a revote and that Bush can't steal this election. None of what has happened passes the smell test and is suspect. I think is what it means at the bottom. It says subject. It's suspect. Or like Jesse says, if it don't fit, it's full of Schmidt. So that's 3 o'clock at the Boca Town Center Mall for people that are pissed off and fired up. How's our poll coming? 350 votes. Should Palm Beach County be given another election? 271 at 77.5% said yes. 79 says 22.5% said
no.
No. And that's where we stand. And they keep counting and counting and counting. And, I understand that there's little chads on the back, there's little paper chads on the back of the, or tab, whatever you want to call them, on the back of your ballot. Sometimes those things, if you don't punch all the way through, they get stuck. And if they wind up going back in, flattening out, then your vote doesn't get counted in that, wherever you punch the hole. And as you look at this Palm Beach County thing again, very clearly, because they have the ballot on the front page, it shows you the holes. I mean, this is as clear. It's a great picture. The first hole is the Bush hole. The second hole, which you'd assume would be the Gore hole, is the Buchanan hole. And since the guy called earlier is correct, the voter instructions that they sent out to everybody tell you to punch the hole to the right of the candidates on the second page, but most people wouldn't care about that because it's readily apparent it's Buchanan and the socialists, David McReynolds and so on. Nobody cares about that for the most part. So they're focusing in on where they're voting, either Bush or Gore and Lieberman. And I can easily see why tons of people, like the 19,000 people, punched both holes there. Because technically, the second hole is almost opposite Gore's name, and the third hole is opposite Lieberman's name. And if they're telling you to vote, to punch the hole to the right of the candidate you're voting for, it's easy to see. I mean, how can you condemn those people? Maybe they're a little slow, maybe they're stupid, whatever, but there's nothing that says you have to be smart to vote. That's for damn sure. All right, a lot of you would have been kept home on Tuesday.
In those instructions, does it say anything about the arrow to the right of the arrow by the person there?
It says, look out for Leapy Lee.
Who?
Little arrows. You call up Booker Brian, he'll tell you about it. All those little farts. Here's a mobile in North Lauderdale. Hello.
Hello, Neil.
Yes, sir.
I was born and raised in Toronto. I've been here for 5 years, and a year ago I became a citizen.
Yes, sir. How about those Leafs, Dave?
Oh, how about them?
Kicked ass last night, but anyway.
Nevertheless, this is more important than a hockey game right now.
Right. Almost.
I guess this was the first opportunity for me to vote for a chief executive officer, the head of state of the United States.
Right.
In Canada, we vote for the congressman, who then, of that party, the prime minister is the one it would be the Speaker of the House in essence. For me right now, I am so disappointed that more people aren't really upset across the country. That
I'm sure that they are.
That people in West Palm Beach have been defrauded of their franchise.
At least so far, yeah.
At this time of the year, being Remembrance Day coming up in a few days, the American Revolution was for the right to have that vote.
Right.
I would be really pissed off if my first vote went for an incorrect design on the ballot. I think that they should have a re-election or re-vote in West
Palm Beach County. Right.
For only those people who voted.
Right.
Not for everybody else.
Right.
I think that can be done, and that's fair.
Sure, it could easily be done because they've got all the ballots and they've got the poll list of names of people and their signatures.
Right. People who signed in should be able to come back and do it right.
Amen.
Anyway, I hope it's done right.
And go.
Thank you very much.
And thank you. So Norm faxes me the sample ballot and the instructions that go along with it, and it says to vote. This is in Palm Beach. To vote, use the punching instrument attached by chain to the vote-o-matic. Punch straight down through the hole to the right of the arrow by the candidate or issue of your choice. Do not use any other punching instrument. Is that correct?
No.
No. No. The ballot is improperly made. The instructions are improper. But don't confuse people with the facts. Because if it came out your way, then you're just going to suck along with it. See, it's one thing, and I can only speak for myself. And I'm not trying to sound holier than thou, but the fact is that if it were exactly reversed, if Bob Graham were still the governor, and if it were being done for Gore this way, and it were exactly reversed, I wouldn't be sitting here trying to steal the election. Because you've got, and I'm pretty damn partisan, as I'm sure all of you know, but you've got to be really just a wingnut. You've got to be out of your mind to try to support the results of an obviously flawed election. If we're voting for dog catcher, okay, big deal. But we're not.
This is 560 QAM.
17 before noon at 560 WQM. The Palm Beach Post editorial asks in their headline, could a ballot mistake elect President asterisk? Bush may win White House because of voter confusion over names. And in the middle of it, it says the confusing Palm Beach ballot combined with a close vote and a flurry of lost and found ballot boxes put the Bush camp, particularly the Jeb Bush wing, on the defensive. When Florida Attorney General Bob Butterworth, a Democrat who was Mr. Gore's state chairman and a possible challenger to Governor Bush in 2002, made the obvious point that both sides need to monitor the recount mandated by law, Frank Jimenez, Jeb Bush's deputy chief of staff, charged irrationally Mr. Butterworth was trying to hijack this process. And Clay Roberts, a Jeb Bush appointee as state elections chief, said, we don't need the Attorney General to tell us how to follow the law. Mr. Roberts, however, showed his own bias when he claimed problems with the Palm Beach Post ballot had been exaggerated. I don't think they're confused, he said. I think they left the polling place and became confused. Does anyone doubt that if the anomaly affected GOP votes, that the Bush camp would be the first in line demanding a remedy? Anybody doubt that?
No.
No. And my good friend Howard Kleinberg's got a great column here. 124 years to the day, Florida pivotal Hayes-Tilden race in 1876 hinged on remote Dade County. It took them 26 days to decide that election between Rutherford B. Hayes and Tilden. Samuel Tilden. No Samuel Tilden? No, I didn't either. But at any rate, according to some written reports, the New York Herald actually asked in print, where the hell is Dade? Because there was like nobody here back then. There were like 5 people in Dade and a couple of people in Monroe and 6 cows down there, whatever. It was just a Yahoo place. Oh, I'm sorry. What do you mean was? Here's a mobile in Fort Lauderdale. Hello.
Neil.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I've got a few things I want to get off my chest.
Go right ahead.
Number one, in regards to that woman who said about the poll assistants, poll workers are disallowed by law, barred by law from assisting voters. Okay, they cannot advise them on who to vote for. They can't advise them on instructions.
Right.
Period. Okay? Even Pat Buchanan today suggests that Gore won Florida.
Mm-hmm.
He said that those people that erroneously voted for him, those people, his votes should not have counted for him.
Just try to stay calm today, okay? Just stay calm.
Okay. Secondly, right before the election, the Republicans said that if Broward has a 200,000 vote advantage, Gore would win. Well, Broward had a 209,000 vote advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what else.
What else?
In addition to the black voter intimidation and this unbelievable 19,000 Palm Beach votes that are just disallowed, you mentioned about how the hole has to be to the right of the name. Okay, not to the left. Not to the left, to the right.
Mm-hmm.
Also, that obnoxious Delray Beach caller, that right-winger who called you yesterday with that, talking about his crap, about the overseas votes.
Yeah. Well, he just makes up the numbers as he goes along.
Well, it's not 30,000, okay?
It's 2,000 or 3,000. We know that. I said that at the beginning of the show.
And
Neil, so many of them have already been counted.
And many of them are from Israel.
Right.
Okay?
Okay. Yeah, but you better watch out because there have been a lot of Jews voting for Buchanan lately.
Also, it's very, very suspicious that...
Oh, wait a minute. Bush is up to 830 now. They counted 3 more counties. 38 of 67 counties. It's 830 votes.
Okay, Neil, it's very, very suspicious that Bill Nelson would get 51%.
Right.
Howdy Doody would get 46.
Right.
And Willie Logan would get 1%, which would equal 80,000. And somehow, all those people that voted for Bill Nelson suddenly changed their vote to Bush.
A whole bunch of them, yeah, if you believe that.
And what's really, really suspect are these absentee ballots, okay? Why was Bush so confident? You know, the exit polling showed that Gore was winning. He had a 3 to...
Yeah. I mean, I've been through all of that. We're just rehashing that again.
I know, but he had a 3 to 6 point edge.
Right.
Why was he so confident?
Well,
and if you remember in 1990...
Whatever it took, they had it waiting in the wings.
Exactly. If you remember in 1997, former mayor, ex-mayor Xavier Suarez election was nullified because of absentee ballot voter fraud.
Yeah, dead people.
Exactly.
Well, dead people like to vote down here.
He was removed. Correa was put in place, and so this whole thing smells. And I hope they declare this election. I hope they declare a revote in Florida. I mean, in Palm Beach County. If they don't, it's a coup. It's an absolute coup.
Okay, take 2 and I'll call us again someday. The Bush campaign waged an aggressive campaign to gather absentee ballots in Miami's Little Havana and other Republican strongholds. At the Crawlway headquarters of the Bush campaign, a crew of about a dozen people worked to gather ballots, filling out and mailing ballot requests for voters, calling them to make sure they voted, even stamping and mailing the ballots after they were dropped off at the campaign office. Miami Commissioner Joe Sanchez, who supervised the Crawlway office, said his crew helped pull in about 5,000 absentee votes. And they were mostly saying, of course, which is okay, assuming, of course, that they were all people who were legitimate voters and they were all, like, alive. That generally is a crime. I mean, even Mel Carnahan, he may have won the election in Missouri, maybe, but he couldn't have voted because he ain't alive. Here's Stewart. Hello.
Yeah, hey, Neil. You know, back to just Volusia County for just a second.
Yeah, what's the story up there?
The socialist candidate got 19,000 votes nationwide.
Mm-hmm.
He got 10,000 in Volusia.
Yeah.
That's where the switch was made. That's when the fix went in. 10,000 votes from Gore disappeared and all of a sudden showed up for the socialist candidate.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on the sample ballot in Palm Beach County, the approval process was invalid.
Well, that sounds like 10,000 vote difference there to me.
There you have it. The approval process was invalid because both major parties approved the sample ballot not as it was in the booth. The holes were not on the ballot they approved. The holes were misaligned. Both parties.
You know something? That's an excellent point. That's a very good point. The holes weren't in there. It was just like the one that was faxed to me the other day. And when you see it without the holes, you really don't see any confusion. All you see is the arrow.
Right. And both the Democrats and the Republicans would have said, no way, this ballot is totally with the misaligned holes. There's no way they would have approved it.
There's nothing worse than misaligned holes, man.
You got it. I'm an attorney, and I have done a couple of recount contesting of elections in Palm Beach County.
Right.
And I will tell you, the way it used to be when Jackie Winchester was supervisor of elections, we'd go by ballot, and you didn't even have to punch it all the way through. We would fight over whether the little square had been dented. And then ballot by ballot, they would say, okay, that one counts or that one doesn't. So do the election over again in Palm Beach County, give us the 10,000 votes back in Volusia, and then let's see what happens.
And I have some advice for Teresa Lepore.
Don't buy a house.
Have a great day.
Yeah, let's have a re-election for her, too.
Okay, thanks. Yeah. 417 votes on our poll on NeilRogers.com. Should Palm Beach County be given another election? Yes, 324. No, 93. 77.5% to 22.3%. Oh, there's James Baker, who looks about 110 years old now.
A lot of the issues surrounding this recount process, I know the position of Secretary of State is certainly the position of Governor George W. Bush, that we would like to see this process carried out in a very transparent, open, deliberate
pretty transparent, all
as
right.
expeditiously as possible, of course, given the national interest. But fully in keeping with the requirements of the law of Florida. We feel quite confident that that's the way the process has been conducted so far, and we're hopeful, of course, that that's the way it's going to be concluded sometime during the course of the day. Now, I'll take a few questions, but I can't be here too long.
At what point do you consider Governor Bush president-elect? At what point will that come?
Well, you're jumping the gun here because we have to first complete the recount, and then we have to and completing a recount may very well depend upon what happens with respect to overseas ballots. It depends upon where the two candidates stand at the conclusion of today's recount. So you really can't answer that question.
10 days after the election.
Well, we don't know that. We do not know at this hour this afternoon whether it will require waiting till November 17th or not. This is a quirk of Florida law we're dealing with the law of Florida here, and we're going to respect it and operate accordingly, as quite frankly are the officials of the state of Florida and the Gore campaign.
Okay, Jimmy, there's old James Baker, good old Bush Reagan crony. 5670560, pound 560. And you know something? They really pissed me. Oh, there they go. No, they don't have it there. How about MSNBC? One moment, please. No, both of them. They take that thing away. We know it's James Baker, okay? We know what he's talking about. Even with the sound on, I know what he's talking about. Anybody with an IQ bigger than their toenail knows who that is. We want to make sure that we don't miss that thing. And also, how come they're not showing us which counties are sounding in here with the recounts? Because I'd sure like to know if Pinellas is in, if Volusia is in, which I think is highly suspect at best, and Orange County. Here's a mobile in Weston. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Got a very simple solution to getting rid of the Electoral College.
Okay.
And it'll never happen because the Republicans know the Democrats will win the election every time. You make it popular vote only. You get rid of the Electoral College. You first make it a national holiday because here we have off for Columbus Day, which is the dumbest holiday.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Columbus came here and slaughtered Indians.
Right.
So everybody gets off at the same time. The polls in the East Coast are open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. On the West Coast, they're open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Right.
There's no predictions ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
There's no counting until all the polls close. Nice and easy.
And how about getting rid of these paper ballots, getting rid of this archaic transporting paper ballots in bags and in boxes? Since we have all this unbelievable technology now, what's wrong with doing it computerized, where they have a central computer bank where all the numbers are funneled to there and all done over the computer, so there's no way to dick around with ballots and screw around with the result, and you can have it instantaneously. As soon as the last vote is tallied, you press the button, there's the number, and you got what you got.
You have it 30 seconds after the polls close.
Absolutely correct.
But it'll never happen because the Republicans know they'll lose every time.
Well, I don't know why you say that, because the final popular vote in this thing is less than 100,000 votes now. I mean, Gore's still ahead.
But don't forget, okay, to get it passed, it's got to pass like 3/4 of the state.
Right, that's correct.
So the yahoos out in Wyoming will never approve it.
2/3, I think. 2/3. Okay, God bless it. Well, yeah, you're right. Although, why would that be? Because it would seem to me that's backass. The people in Wyoming, their vote is worth almost nothing now. They got 3 electoral votes, and that would make their vote just as valuable as somebody in New York. In addition to which, the people in Wyoming then might actually have somebody besides the Vice President Dick, who happens to be from there, coming and speaking to them, and the people in Vermont and all little states, too. As opposed now that most of the overwhelming majority of the campaigning is done in the big states, because that's where the candidates want to get the big chunks of electoral votes. So we'll put everybody on an equal footing. Makes all the sense in the world. Just say no to the Electoral College. 830, that's with 38 out of 67 counties. Bush leads by 830 votes right now, this second.
This is 560 QAM. Sports Radio 560 WQAM Miami, Fort Lauderdale. A Beasley Broadcast Group station. And WQAM.com for the world.
It's exactly 12 noon at 560 WQM. We got Hank coming up at 2 this afternoon. Boog for Hank at 2. We got Bino Cook with Boog at 5. Hurricane Hotline from Bremen Honda at 6. Oh, God, you aren't going to believe who we got at 8. Wow. And then Eddie K after that debacle. Look for Defo in the QAM van on the Citgo gas station, corner of 177 to Collins Avenue, Miami Beach, from now till 2 this afternoon. They'll have the best of Neil CDs, cassettes, T-shirts, and those nifty keychains for Planned Parenthood. Which one of these days we're going to get a new total, but the nephew threatened. Remember yesterday he said afternoon? He didn't say which day. Now I'm looking again at the wording, and you know something? Now it's starting to sink in very clearly. Because not only do the instructions mitigate against any candidates who were on that right-hand page in Palm Beach, any presidential candidates, because there were no holes to the right of those names. But also, when you read the instructions and then you look at the ballot again, which is very clearly, there's a really good picture on the front page of the Palm Beach Post. And it says, to vote, use the punching instrument attached by chain to the vote-o-matic. Punch straight down through the hole to the right of the arrow by the candidate or issue of your choice. And you look and you see that even though there is that arrow with number 5, which again, that really technically is the wrong number. It should be number 4. But those, depending on the alignment of the ballot in the machine, however far down you've stuck it, It could have appeared to those 19,000 people who had their ballots thrown out that those holes are to the right of the Gore-Lieberman's names, because they're all within that box, within that space. They're to the right of that space. And even though it does say singular here, very easy mistake that people could have made, thinking that they had to punch both names in there. Why? Don't ask me. I have no idea. Here's a call in Miami. Hello.
Neil, you there?
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to make a comment on the people in Palm Beach County. There are a bunch of senior citizens that are claiming they were confused and didn't understand the ballot, but this was the same ballot that was published in the paper up there just before the election.
Without the holes, though. It didn't show the alignment of the holes.
Well, you know, there's no excuse for stupidity or ignorance. You know, this ballot was reviewed and signed off by Mr. Wexler.
Have you actually seen the ballot with the holes in it?
Yes.
And you don't think it's confusing?
What about the other thousands of Palm Beach voters? Were they confused?
You know something? We've heard from many people who said that they're pretty sure they voted right, but they were confused and had to look at it for a couple of minutes because it was confusing to them. Not all old, feeble people that you're talking about. In addition to which, let me point out to you, the people who vote the most in Florida are the senior citizens. So I'm sure that this wasn't the first time that they voted in their lifetime.
I understand that.
What was the first time was that they were confronted with the so-called butterfly ballot, which is confusing to anybody. And in the instructions, which I just read you again, which somehow you're ignoring, I'm sure you heard it, the instructions are incorrect.
Well, listen, Neil. There's a big influence in Palm Beach County by the Kennedy family.
Oh, get out of here. Are you a crazy person or what? Big influence. Get this man some help. Get him a straitjacket. Big influence in Palm Beach. If that's the case, then how come they didn't have 50 billion votes? How come they didn't have a bunch of win by a zillion votes? So we wouldn't have to have maybe a recount. You idiot. God, talk about a paranoid, I can't even deal with him. I'm getting a headache from him. Good God. Call up Lardass, okay? I'm sure that he'll love that conspiracy. The Kennedy's done it. Right, Ted? Yeah. 567-0560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon wireless line. 38 out of 67 counties. The recount continues all afternoon. Bush leads by 830, about half of what, a little less than half of what he originally had. Here's a mobile in Palm Beach. Hello.
Neil, thank you for segueing for a minute while I stopped laughing hysterically.
Oh, my.
I'm a 41-year-old white male in Palm Beach County.
Yes, sir.
Okay? I was registered independent. Okay? When I went to the polls, my wife, they would not let her vote because she had not changed her driver's license to our new address. Okay? But they did let me vote because I was registered independent. And guess what my wife was registered?
Democrat.
Absolutely. And she went to 2 polling places, went to the old house. I drove her there while waiting to go late, make my son late for a hockey game. Drove her and waited at the old polling place for 45 minutes while she went in there. And the woman told her she'd take her name and number and call her if she could figure out if it was okay for her to
Oh,
vote.
yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay, listen. And let me tell you, whoever this guy was that just hung up sounds like a paranoid Julio from Miami.
Right, exactly.
But let me tell you something. Make your next polling question for Palm Beach County only, and ask them how many people are enamored with the Kennedys in Palm Beach County.
Right.
And watch that number be less than 1, Neil.
Mm-hmm.
People who do know of them in Palm Beach.
Look, I wouldn't dignify this guy with a response. I mean, it's just one of the dumbest things, and that covers a lot of territory. One of the dumbest things I've heard.
That's what they're running out of ammo. The last few bullets they got left. Well, they like Ted Kennedy. It's amazing, Neil. Take care.
Good luck, pal. Good luck to us. 567-0560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon wireless line. Out of town line, 877-785-6345.
Encouraging them. We all encourage people to go to the polls and vote. And 19,000 people in one county went to the polls to vote, and their votes have been thrown out.
Now, we've just been told that William Daley and Warren Christopher, who's also a Gore surrogate in Florida, plan to have a news conference in about an hour from now to give their latest version of what's going on. Jim Baker in Florida for for George W. Bush just had a news conference. He seems pretty confident that if the people punch the wrong button on that ballot in Palm Beach County, then you just have to throw it out. That's the way we've always done it, he said, and that's what that campaign expects.
Hate to break the news to you, sweetheart, but the instructions are invalid. The instructions are wrong. Punch the hole to the right of the arrow by the candidate or issue of your choice. And there were several candidates on the right-hand page, and there was no arrow to the pointing to the right and no hole to the right. But don't confuse the people in Palm Beach. I mean, we're talking rocket science up there in Palm Beach County, Teresa. Brilliant. Genius. Here's Kendall. Hello. Kendall. Going once. Here's a lady in Hollywood. Hello. Or a mobile in Sunrise. Somewhere. I don't know where I am. Here's a mobile in Sunrise.
Yeah, I wanted to ask a few questions for you because I'm so glad that the Democrats are so concerned with the democratic process.
Mm-hmm.
The 67 counties in Florida, how many did Bush win?
Well, what is that? What difference does that make?
51 counties. And which county does the Democrats want to revote in? Palm Beach County. The one that's the highest concentration of Jewish voters in Florida.
I forgot. It's a Ted Kennedy and a Jew conspiracy. That's it. I forgot about that. It's a Jew conspiracy. Who won the most states? Bush won by far the most states. Do we elect the president on that?
No.
Do we elect the governor based on who wins the most counties?
No.
I love the way, it's pathetic. I'm not saying that all Republicans are like a bunch of little children, but certainly something to think about. Like a little bunch of infants. Don't confuse this with the rules or the way the elections work. Like the guy that called me yesterday about, we've got 50, the Electoral College is great because we have 51 different elections. And I said to him, does that mean that when we vote for governor, that we have 67 different elections because we have 67 counties? And he said, yeah. God. So it's the Jews and it's the Kennedys. Are the Kennedys Jewish?
Uh-huh.
Irish Jews. 8 minutes after noon at 560 WQM.
The Neil Rogers Show. Sports Radio 560 QAM.
So Joe Rizzoli just said from Roth Office Supply said I sound nasal. I'll tell you what. I'll do. I'll do a George W. Would that help? Anyway, we have nothing new to report as far as the tally is concerned. Bush is still ahead by 830 votes. Nobody has any idea how many of those overseas ballots are coming in. They've got till November 17. They've got 8 more days to get them all in. That's the law. That's the deadline. But as I pointed out before, a lot of those were some. I'm not going to say a lot. Some of them already came in and were counted on election night. So nobody knows nothing. And the business about it, the way that the absentee ballots are handled in this state is mind-boggling to me. Because how can there not be a tally somewhere, somehow? How can, as the election is going on, the supervisor of elections saying, well, it could be not just 500,000, it could be like almost 1 million absentee ballots. Well, how is it not possible to know how many have been distributed? Who knows? Here's Fort Lauderdale. Hello.
Hey, Neil, how you doing?
Okay.
Hey, like the guy said before, ignorance is no defense. You had the opportunity to pull your ballot out, find out what number you punched, and match it up with your ballot.
Uh-huh.
Okay? You walk over to the lady or man, tell her you made a mistake. They tear up your ballot and they give you a new one.
You're missing the point that most of those people didn't know they made a mistake.
Well, then how do they know they did make a mistake if they don't know?
Well, certainly the Buchanan vote is a mistake. Even he himself.
Hey.
Scream at somebody else, pal. Okay, I'm not interested in you screaming at me over the phone.
Hey.
Yeah, don't confuse this guy with the facts. You don't like what's going on now because you want the result. See, I hate to break the news to you, but the American public, people of good conscience, of any party, people of good conscience, aren't going to let either candidate steal the election in broad daylight. And isn't it interesting that black and Jewish votes, I mean, maybe that's just a coincidence, they seem to be the ones that are being stolen in big numbers of the attempt going on here in the state of Florida, whether it's Volusia County, whether it's Palm Beach County, and guess what? There aren't too many Jews in Volusia County, and the Kennedys don't live there either. So come up with all the conspiracy stuff. You're like a bunch of little children, like I said before. If you don't get your way, and it looks like you probably will get your way, but if you don't get it easily, if we just don't hand over the keys to the kingdom and say, here you go, you whine like a bunch of little kids. And also don't confuse you with the facts, like the fact that it appears very, and judges, legal experts are going to have to make the decisions on this. The courts will have to decide whether these ballots were legal, whether they were misleading. And again, if you have even the slightest degree of fairness, because your candidate is the guy who said, oh, we want to bring back decency and morality back to Washington, yada, yada, yada. So if you really have any degree of fairness, any slight spirit of that in any fiber in your body, then you'd agree that everybody out there who was registered had a legitimate right to vote. Now, if they were stupid, if that was it, just stupidity, then I say you're right. Do you think there were 20,000 people really that stupid that they punched both holes in there? And if you look at the ballot, it's easy to see why. If you look at the ballot with the instructions, it's very easy to see why. You know, a few people, maybe a few old yentas, they can be stupid, or they can be senile, or they can have bad eyesight. But to try to tell us now that 23,000 people were stupid because their vote was disenfranchised and it didn't go the way that you like, pretty obvious, pretty transparent, to quote James Baker, it's transparent. Now let's see what he's saying there on
We began the day at 941 vote lead. Then it went all the way down to 790 now. We're crossing that out. Now it's an 830 lead. We can tell you that 38 of the 67 counties have been counted so far.
Yeah,
we are expecting a 5 o'clock deadline today. By the time all of the recounting is done, however, be prepared to go much longer than that. I want to read to you the latest news we've received. NBC is reporting, how would the overseas ballots be announced? Because there are a great many of them, more than 1,000. According to Clay Roberts, who is the head of the elections division in the state
more than
of Florida,
1,000.
the ballots have to be received through the 10-day window from postmarked military from the date of the election.
We don't know. Come on.
The state will not certify the count from the overseas ballots until that 10-day window for receiving them has expired. However, he does add that each and every county on its own, in deciding what they want to do on this issue, some counties may announce the count of the overseas ballots when they receive them on an ongoing basis. In other words, we might be getting those overseas absentee ballots and an updated count day by day, who knows, maybe even hour by hour.
Okay, great. So, just pull yourself up on the edge of the seat. Don't fall on your ass. That's my suggestion. Here's a lady in Hollywood. Hello.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
I found out my ballot card was different from most people, and I found out by listening...
In Hollywood?
In Hollywood, Broward, yeah.
How's that possible?
I was fussing because it was so confusing of picking Bush and Gore and Buchanan. And I found out because my husband is in the booth right beside me, and his card would be like everybody else's with a punch hole is straight across from Bush and then straight across from Gore. Mine was not like that. I was listening to your show on the way back Tuesday from voting.
Right.
And the lady that called you and said she thought she voted for Buchanan.
But she was in Palm Beach.
She was in Palm Beach?
Yeah.
Well, mine had little holes right in the middle, all crammed together. They was not across from the president. And if you went straight across from Gore's name, it was in the first hole. There was no arrows, no numbers on the punch holes.
Well, then why didn't you go and ask for another ballot? They would have.
I had no idea until I started hearing people call your show and saying the card was confusing. I was
but the card was confusing in Palm Beach. They used a completely different ballot for the presidential election.
I was fussing since Tuesday and Wednesday that it was confusing. I can't believe they don't have it on TV.
Yeah.
Come to find out, my husband explained, he said, draw me a picture of it. I drew him a picture. He said, that's not what my card was. He said the punch holes were separated straight across from the president. And when I heard people on your show saying it was confusing, I figured they had the same card that I had, that they're spread around. Because your first reaction was go straight across, and if you punched the first one, it would have been Bush. And then it has a big number 3 by Gore's name. And I said, well, it's the third button. You have to count down because there's no numbers, no arrow.
Okay, I understand your paranoia and your psychosis, but nothing I can do about it now. It's driving me nuts. I mean, I understand people are very upset. They want to make sure their vote was counted and that it was right, but CNN just says that Florida law states that the holes on a ballot must be on the right. Maybe that's why they put Buchanan over there on the right, like the far right. Let me say that again. CNN just announced Florida law states the holes on a ballot must be on the right. Were all the holes on the ballot for the presidential election on the right?
No.
In Palm Beach County?
No.
No. Absolutely not. So it's looking really darker and darker for the forces of darkness. I can tell you that right now. Because it looks more and more like these were unacceptable ballots that were in violation of Florida law. In many respects. Here's Boca. Hello.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Hi, Neil. Couple of comments. One is, when I've ever heard the Republican spinmeisters talk about the absentee ballots, the overseas ballots, especially the military, in a very cocky manner, they say, well, in the past they've pretty much gone to the Republicans because of the military.
Right.
But unless I have missed something, every time I see pictures of our military, there's a lot of Afro-Americans who are part of our military.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure where they're going with that.
They tend to be more Republican. However, I'd like to point out that there were 2,300 overseas ballots in '96 that actually came in. Almost half of them went to Clinton. In addition to which, there are some quotes from people who were overseas when they mailed their ballots, who are back now. Some were Jewish. There are many people who are overseas in Israel. This isn't just military. They keep trying to make it sound because, they figure if they talk it up, they're going to convince you into it. Like it's all the military. There are these 2,000 or 3,000 votes, whatever there were over there, and they just got through saying there are about 1,000 left that aren't in. But there are a wide variety of people. There are tourists who are traveling abroad who have trips scheduled during the election, and military people, and all kinds of people.
The other thing, Neil...
The margin in that vote isn't likely to be all that great. And although, even a couple of hundred will make a difference now, but it's not likely to be that great.
The other thing, Neil, is people are criticizing the voters in Palm Beach County being senior citizens and having a problem with their minds and with their ability to see properly. On the Today Show, Katie Couric interviewed a whole bunch of young and middle-aged people, some of them very well-educated, very bright, and many of them on the show this morning stated they had the same problem and the same difficulty. So for people to put the onus on the senior citizens, this has gone across the ages in terms of...
Well, you know something? It's just like something, a light bulb just lit up over my head. I'm looking at this ballot on the front because they've got a full color picture, not that it's black and white, but still it's a color picture of the ballot and the holes on the front of the Palm Beach Post. And you can see just by looking at it that this is an illegal ballot because Buchanan and Foster, for example, the Reform Party, they're listed as number 4. They're on the top of the right page. The arrow is pointing to the left, and the hole is directly to the left. That's in violation of the law. Florida law, I'll say it again, and this was just reported by CNN, says that the holes have to be to the right of the names on the Florida ballot.
One other thing, Neil, real quick. You may have said it already, so excuse me if I'm repeating it. Buchanan was interviewed this morning, and he stated on the Today Show, he stated that he does feel that the votes that went to him should really have gone to Gore, and so of all people, he acknowledged it was not fair.
That's right.
Thank you, Neil.
Okay, thanks. So I guess the Bush people really like him again, huh? Oh. 24 past noon at 560 WQAM. No changes. Choking on these almonds that Peter Leonard brought in here. He always brings me something to gag on. That piece of crap, that Peter Leonard. Gag on this, Peter. Here's Naples. Hello.
Yes.
Is there a comment on that? What is it?
To conform to Florida statute, if all the holes have to be on the right-hand side of the candidate's name,
yes,
then what are they going to do with the Spanish page that's on the right side with all the arrows going to the left?
Beats me.
Well, that means all the other counties, you got to throw out all the ballots.
Yeah. Well, let's just do the whole thing all over again.
Well, I'd like somebody to explain that.
In the Hispanic ballot,
in almost every other county, the Hispanic ballot is on the right-hand side of the page with the arrows going to the left.
Well, I'll be damned.
Check it out.
Sounds to me like Florida don't know how to do an election.
I guess, but if they're going to go by a strict legal definition according to Florida statute, then none of the ballots are ballots.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. What's he trying to say?
Yeah.
5670560. And how come we got ballots in some other language? I know a lot of people are going to be answering that question. Is there any reason why we should have ballots in some other language?
No.
Of course not. Here's one. It says, I voted in Palm Beach County, didn't have any difficulty, yada, yada. And then here's another one. It says, oh, they're putting them on MSNBC. And the Democrats are saying one thing that you'd expect, and the Republicans are saying the opposite that you'd expect. And you see a lot of people did leave there without any idea, unsuspecting that maybe they punched the wrong thing. The answer was that the tally for Buchanan showed that problem. Forget about the 19,000 that they threw out. That's another issue. But the 3,400 votes, of which at least 3,000 were bogus in Palm Beach, at least, most of those people weren't even aware what they had done. And I remember on Tuesday, on Election Day, that one woman from Palm Beach County calling, I'm sure if you were listening, you remember, she was hysterical. And she, I got frustrated because I couldn't relate to what she was talking about, because unless you see the ballot and where the holes are, and unless you live in Palm Beach and you voted on that kind of a butterfly ballot, you can't envision it. But she was apoplectic, and rightfully so. And I'll say it again, you don't have that time when there are that many people lined up and that few many precinct workers, most of whom are over the age of 100, sitting around. There was one campaign guy in Broward yesterday was talking about the fact that they told us to call headquarters, election headquarters, and if anybody had a problem or we couldn't find them, and they kept calling all day long and getting busy signal and could never get through to find out if these people had a right to vote or not. 26 past noon at 560 WQN.
Neil God.
There's some pink meat on some widespread that's loaded up with mayonnaise, and it sits in my lunchbox. But when I take it out and I take a big old bite, I don't know what they make it from, but it sure does taste alright.
Okay, kill that. That's the wrong cut anyway. Kill it. I did. 795, there's the new count. It just got cut by another, that's with how many now? 45 though. 45 out of 67. 795. 22 counties to go. Do we know what counties they are?
No.
Well, let's see what the bozo is saying there on MSNBC.
In West Palm Beach County, that rally being held outside the Palm Beach County Courthouse. NBC's Suzanne Malveaux joins us there live. Suzanne?
Greg, we are expecting Reverend Jesse Jackson to arrive momentarily, but I have to tell you, this is ground zero. This is the epicenter of this ballot controversy that has really gripped our country for the last 48 hours, and people here are angry. There are hundreds of protesters that are outside of the governmental buildings here at Palm Beach County, and they want to make it known that they do not believe that their vote counts. They don't believe it really reflects their true choice. First of all, 19,000 of the ballots were double counted, as you mentioned, and they feel that because those votes were thrown out, that they are a disenfranchised group.
You realize this, that just forgetting about anything else, assuming that this recount stays about the same in the next 22 counties, and Bush wins by a few hundred votes, forget about the 19,000 whose ballots were tossed out. Forget about the overseas ballots, because there are less than 1,000 still to be counted. If you just take the 3,000 Gore votes that went to Buchanan, game over. And then, of course, you also have the 19,000 and some odd whose ballots were tossed out because of the same confusing illegal ballots in Palm Beach County with incorrect instructions. Here's a mobile in Pompano. Hello.
Hey, Neil. The networks called Gore about 9 o'clock, and obviously they were right because of the exit polls.
I think about 10 till 8 it was.
10 to 8. Well, anyway, 5 minutes later, the whole Bush clan, which was staying in the hotel, pack their bags, go back to the government mansion where they know the phone lines are untapped. And then yesterday, at the press conference, they asked Jeb, well, what did you do when they called Florida, going down on him? That's all I got to say, Neil.
Thanks. Do we believe Jeb?
No.
No. We don't believe it for 2 seconds, sweetheart. 5670560, pound 560. Boy, they got some crowd up there outside the courthouse in Palm Beach. They are foaming at the mouth in Palm Beach County. Revote. That's what they're saying. Revote. Revote. They're screaming it. And they're waving it.
Organization that felt that they wanted to get this message out and felt that the clout status of Reverend Jackson would help them. And we are expecting that he'll be here within just minutes. But clearly, a lot of...
There's a sign that says 19,000 MIAs. Let me find that thing again for that rally at 3. Grassroots rally scheduled for 3 p.m. at the Town Center Mall in Boca today, and the parking lot facing the Glades Road in front of the restaurant Fridays in Stir Crazy. It's expected there will be TV coverage, possible appearances from Congressman Robert Wexler and or Jesse Jackson, depending on their schedules. The DNC in Washington has responded positively, it says, demanding a revote. in Palm Beach. Here's Miami. Hello.
Yes, I just wanted to make a few points. There was a gentleman who called up who sounded like he was about to have a heart attack.
Yes.
About the fact that people voted for Bush and then there were votes for Nelson. I'm a ticket splitter, and although I voted for Bush because I thought he would be better nationally, I thought that Nelson would better serve the interests of Floridians. So, you know, for people to imply something fishy is going on there, I know from my own personal experience, you know, I voted for Graham, but I've also voted for Jeb Bush. So,
oh, God.
Well, I know, but I mean, you know, at least I don't go straight down the line like a mindless automaton and just.
No, I understand that. It seems strange, though. I mean, a 5% difference seems like a pretty significant amount.
Well, you know, the other point I wanted to bring up was, although I do think that some people voted for Buchanan that meant to vote for Gore,
yes.
If it was that misleading, considering over 200 and some thousand people voted for Gore, you would think that a much larger proportion, let's say 50 or 100,000 votes.
But you're narrowing it down to the 3,000. See, actually, there were 23,000 who voted for Buchanan, but 19,000 of them also voted for Gore. In other words, they punched both of those buttons, both of those holes to the right of Gore's name. So what they were doing is voting for Gore and Buchanan unwittingly.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but if I'm not mistaken, they haven't determined that those 19,000 that had two punched all were Buchanan and Gore. Some of them may very well have been
well, whatever they were, I agree with you, but they punched two holes.
Oh, I understand, but you can't assume that 23,000 intended to vote for Gore.
Huh?
I said you can't.
Well, that's why there needs to be a revote. I'm not saying we ought to assume it and just say, okay, here we're going to hand him those votes. Of course not. Those people have a right to have their vote counted, although it was in heavily black areas, a lot of them.
Well, the last point I'd like to make is that on the issue of a revote, although I don't feel that Bush should win if he didn't legitimately get the vote, and they never know. However, my fear as somebody who voted for Bush would be that the Nader voters, who by and large are more liberal, they would be able to come back and go ahead and punch for Gore as opposed to their original vote for Nader.
Yeah.
So, in other words...
Put Nader back on.
Yeah,
no, I understand that.
Be on the ballot, right, with Monica Moorhead and whatever.
But they now know that their Nader vote, although they should have known it from the very beginning, they had no chance of winning.
Right.
But that they now can affect the election, whereas before they probably didn't even consider their vote valid other than a protest vote against the two major parties.
Well, by the same token, all those thousands of people who supposedly voted for Buchanan, over 3,000 of them, if they really wanted to vote for Buchanan, they can vote for him now, and you know. Or they can vote for Bush.
Well, that's a good point.
If they were legitimate. I say let's find out what people really meant to vote, and not decide a presidential election based on confusion and technicalities.
I agree, and it's a shame that it's come down to...
But of course, that's Florida. That's the ineptitude in the state. We can't do anything right here.
Well, let's just hope for the best.
Okay, thanks.
Bye.
45 out of 67 counties. Do we know which ones they are? I mean, I can't listen to the audio all the while, but it doesn't... obviously not, because they're just not announcing it, which is really stupid. Because if Volusia County, just as one example, is still out there, or Pinellas County. And I don't understand what that deal was in Pinellas. That sounds really strange to me. If you missed that, they were recounting late yesterday, and they first turned over the results saying that Gore had picked up about 500 and Bush had lost 40. He had 40 fewer than originally thought. Then they said, oh, wait a minute, we found some other ballots that we didn't count. So we won't give you the number till tomorrow. When? God only knows, and even he has his doubts.
Oh, God.
Has no idea. Here's a call from Miami. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir.
How you doing, yeah?
Okay.
Okay, don't you think this is just a coincidence that,
Yeah, that you're on again, yeah. 21 before 1 at 560 WQAM.
The Neil Rogers Show. Sports Radio 560 QAM.
Beware of exploding balls.
17 to 1 at QAM. This is great in Maureen Dowd's column. This is sensational. She says, all these psychodramas boiled over on election night. Bill, watching in a suite at the Hyatt as he waited to go downstairs with Hillary, was furious all over again at Al for not deploying him better and bragging on their record more. Al in Nashville was just as mad at Bill because exit polls confirmed that the president was a big drag on the Democratic ticket. Hillary was sore at Bill for some reason or all reasons and made no attempt to hide her chilliness on Tuesday, which must have made Bill sore at her, giving all the great advice that he gave her that helped her at last get a long perch of her own. The Bushes were so driven by Clinton poisoning, they had poor Jeb under incredible pressure to deliver. When Mr. Gore called the governor at 3:30 this morning to retract his concession, W said he knew he won the election because Jeb told him so. Let me explain something, Mr. Gore acidly lectured W. Your younger brother is not the ultimate authority on this. So, like you had heard, but of course we didn't know the details, the second call, not the one from Gore saying I'm going to concede, but the later one saying, guess what, I changed my mind, was an unpleasant exchange. And there's W, that kinder, gentler, compassionate George W. saying, I know I won because my little brother told me so. And he knows, because he knows where the bodies are buried and where the dead people are who voted and where all those absentee ballots came from, and yada, yada, yada. Here's a mobile in Pembroke Pines. Hello.
Hey, Neil?
Yes, sir.
Number one, thank you for being a sharp machete in this banana republic.
Sharper than OJ, baby.
Thank you. And also, is there any phone number or email address that we can call or write to the Democratic National Committee not to concede until everything is gone through the court?
Oh, you don't have to worry about that. They're not going to do that.
No?
No. Have no fear.
All right, well, then we'll have to count right this time.
Warren Christopher is down here with 3 eagle eyes.
Yeah, well, I hope he stays awake.
Okay.
Okay, Neil.
See you. Poke him in the ribs. 45 now. Are they going to tell us which counties they are? Because if so...
If George W. Bush wins the presidency without getting the nation's popular vote, the outcome could fuel new calls to outright abolish the Electoral College.
Yeah, we agree, okay? These guys, they slay me. Like a bunch of little chillin'. Well, it's like, what's her name? On Ding Dong School. I thought was her name Frances Horowitz. Ding Dong School. Of course, she was talking to little kids, but these people, they talk to the... Maybe that's why the public acts like little kids, because the media deals with them like they're little kids. 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon wireless line. Here's a lady mobile in Miami. Hello.
Hi, Neil.
Yes, ma'am.
Neil God, I love you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say, unlike the last woman who called, please, I know that I'm not paranoid. I voted at precinct 619, which is on Sunset Drive, east of US 1. And I had the butterfly ballot. And I knew that mine was different because my boyfriend voted within a half an hour of when I voted. He voted in Coconut Grove. So I was unincorporated Dade. He was City of Miami. Mm-hmm. And I was discussing how our ballots were different. And so it wasn't only in West Palm Beach. And I haven't heard anyone else talking about that, and which concerns me. But I know that I'm not crazy. I just wanted to let you know, okay?
I think maybe the whole state needs to revote.
Definitely West Palm Beach deserves it. Thanks a lot, Neil.
Okay, thanks, sweetheart. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That's our poll question today. Should Palm Beach County be given another chance, another election? 543 votes already. 419 yes, 77.1%. No, 124, 22.8%. Say absolutely not. We won, we got it, and quit whining. Quit with the sour grapes. Now, this is interesting in the Palm Beach Post, when they're talking about the recount in Palm Beach County last night. It says part of Gore's increase came from precinct 29E, which came up empty on Tuesday but showed 368 Gore votes and 23 Bush votes on Wednesday. The precinct is near the Fountains community at Jog and Lake Worth Roads. The results will be forwarded to the State Division of Elections. Are you hearing that? It came up empty. There were no votes allegedly at all there on election night, but then on Wednesday, Gore had 368 and Bush 23. How convenient. Just like those votes in Volusia County. Just like those 10,000 votes for that, what was his name again? The guy that nobody ever heard of before? Yeah. I don't know. Hughes? Howard Hughes. Whatever the hell his name was. Trotsky. County Pingo. Yeah. Look at that. Now they're showing the 1824. We don't care about 1824, okay? We want to see some numbers now. We want them now. We want to know what the hell is going on, or else. You crazy bastards in the media. Here's Plantation. Hello.
Yeah, I was just wondering, if Al Gore wins the recount, do you still want to have a new vote?
Meaning what?
If Al Gore wins this recount, do you
why
still
not?
want to have
Why not? In Palm Beach, you mean? Why not? Of course.
So we should still, why just in Palm Beach?
Because that's where the dispute is in Palm Beach.
Well, how do you know there hasn't been people across the state that also have problems?
Because the ballot in Palm Beach was the only butterfly, and if you look in your pants, maybe you'll find a butterfly, so you're flying around, okay? Grab it real quick before it gets away. Get you a little net.
You should play Butterfly Kisses.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Funny you mentioned it. I was thinking of playing that. The butterfly ballot. I've heard of butterflying a steak, but not a butterfly ballot. Because butterflies, and you know something, that's why they did it in Palm Beach, because the people in Palm Beach like it because it's free. Butterflies are free. Anything in free is free. I don't want to start attacking the old Jews in Palm Beach.
Oy!
Unless it's absolutely necessary. Oh, and now look at this. What the hell was that? Got a bunch of crazy people.
Holding a protest there. We'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah, we got some Bush Cheney people. More Gore dirty tricks. Go home, crybabies. Oh, like I said, these Republicans just slay me. Yeah, we stole it fair and square, and you're not going to get those votes, okay? No matter what the hell you do. We stole it fair and square. Man. Like I said, I had my thumb right on it like a bunch of little children. Like a food fight in the cafeteria in junior high school. Here's Plantation. Hello.
Hi, Neil.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to call and say about, comment about the guys that said about the Spanish ballot.
Yeah.
What it showed earlier on MSNBC, they had the supervisor of elections from up in Tampa.
Yeah.
And she showed, because they have that Spanish ballot also.
Mm-hmm.
On the right side, or on the left side, I'm sorry, is in English. And directly across is in Spanish, or, you know, if it's Bush, it's in English on the left and Spanish on the right.
Yeah.
And only one punch hole. So there can't be any confusion on, you know, that type of ballot.
Right. That's still technically not legal, though, but at least it's not confusing.
Well, they did it, I guess, for the Spanish-speaking, you know, counties that were heavily with Hispanic voters.
I guess that's an awful lot of votes in Dade County we're just going to have to throw out, huh?
Yeah, plus any other county, you know, that they did that in.
I think all of his, I mean, I realize that Hispanics are around the rest of the state, but in Dade County we realized that there was that question about the absentee ballot, so I think that the fair way to decide that is to take all the Hispanic votes in Dade County and when in doubt, just throw them out. Yeah, let's have an ethnic food fight. We got the blacks and the Cubans and, of course, the old Jews. You know something? When it come right down to it, this is like a mirror of the state of Florida. It's like a microcosm of our entire lives here in this godforsaken state. The old Jews, the blacks, the Cubans. Who are we leaving out? Who didn't get into this?
Well, the crackers.
Oh, the crackers, they're running around with their signs there. More dirty tricks. They're busy. They're back with their sheep today. Their sheep was lonely on Election Day Tuesday. They got to be back and keeping company today, okay? Don't worry about the crackers. Here's a call from Palm Beach. Hello.
Hello, Neil?
Yes, sir.
Hi, this is Julio that lives in Wellington.
Sí.
That's by Lake Worth.
Yes, sir.
Listen, what a day. Anyhow, I voted for Bush. The ballots, I didn't have any problems. However, I can see where a lot of people might have been mistaken. I agree. I think we should have another election in Palm Beach County.
Right.
But by the same token, Neil, I don't think there's that many Republicans anyhow in West Palm Beach. So why, I mean, I'm not trying to be cynical. So if all these 19,000 plus Buchanan, etc., that means Gore won with more power to him. But why should I vote again if I know that, you know, Gore won, which fine, you know.
Well, but that's not a good way to look at it. I mean, if you want to just, you know, he's certainly not going to concede while he's ahead theoretically on the numbers they got now, and why should you throw in the towel? That's not right.
But you see where I'm coming from? I mean, we all know.
I mean, unless you're that lukewarm about George Bush, I mean, I don't understand it.
Well, but the thing is that I have to be realistic.
Okay, well, I think, like I said, you made a good point, and if they do have a re-election in Palm Beach, I think you're right. The Bush people probably should all stay home.
Well, because, you know, it's at least
Waste of time,
3-1 in West Palm.
Excellent point, amigo.
All right, senor.
Thanks. Okay. Don't you think that's a real good idea? Let's have the Bush people stay home that day, because it's a numbers game, baby. I mean, if they have a re-election and recount, they're not going to be able to dick around with those votes, because they're going to have Warren Christopher down there, and Janet Reno's going to be there with her girlfriend, and they're going to be watching it like crazy. That's right. They're going to be there with billy clubs, baby. They're not going to put up with any more of this crap, this Jeb Bush crap and Jeb Bush beer. The hell with it. It's a bunch of Bush-Schmidt. Here's Miami. Hello.
Neil.
Yes, sir.
How are you?
Good.
I want to preface my remarks by saying that I voted for Gore. Okay.
Here's a sign that says we've been bushwhacked.
I'm going to be very disappointed if he loses this election, but listen to me.
Yes.
We probably disagree on this. I've seen that ballot from Palm Beach 3 or 4 times.
Yes.
There's no way me walking in that booth I'm going to make that mistake. I think the people that did are either careless or just not that bright. You know what? When I go into the voting booth,
let me say this to you. Do you have to be bright to vote in America? Is that a requirement?
Well, listen to me. When I go into the voting booth, I'm expecting, to really bear down, to put my thinking cap on. I scrutinize the language of these proposals. I really, really focus, okay? There's no way I'm making that mistake, but that's neither here nor there. If Gore loses this election, okay, I don't think he should. I don't think the Democratic Party should sue. I don't think they should put this country through a protracted legal battle demanding new elections.
So in other words, you're not disturbed, forgetting about just the ballot, you're not disturbed about all the other irregularities and the 8 boxes or 10
Look,
boxes.
I don't think there was a big Republican conspiracy to screw this up, man. And you know what? I think it'll show class on Gore's part. So
in other words, you would rather show class. Why is it so important for him to show class and just hand the election over to somebody who went in and fixed? Why is that important?
It's better for this country.
No, it is not. No, it is not. If you're willing to hand over to George Bush the keys to the kingdom and let him appoint 3 or 4 Supreme Court justices, we're not just talking about what's going to happen for the next 4 years. We're talking about what's going to happen in the next 40 or 50 years. So if you're that lukewarm and you're that weak, then you're entitled. And you're talking about the people being careless about those people? What about you? You're like the other guy that Julio just called before you. Oh, he already threw in the towel. Why vote for Bush? Because if they have a re-election. And you know something? The fact that man called, I'll say this, at least he's honest, that Julio from Wellington. Because he knows damn well that there's a hell of a lot more Democrats in Palm Beach. See, the point that he's missing, the election in Palm Beach isn't going to decide the state all by itself. It's not like who wins Palm Beach, but of course it's by how much. It adds to the total Florida vote. You only get the votes in the state of Florida if you win the popular vote by 1. So naturally, just common sense would tell you that if you're for Bush, every single vote that he gets is crucial because the margin will be the difference. We don't know right now how much Bush is going to wind up being ahead, if at all, when they finish the recount here and after those other mysterious outer space ballots come floating down.
This is 560 QAM, Sports Radio 560 WQAM Miami, Fort Lauderdale, a Beasley Broadcast Group station, and WQAM.com for the world.
1 o'clock at QAM.
It's the 1 to 2 hour. The 1 to 2 hour.
That's enough. 2:30 this afternoon, there's going to be a federal court hearing to address possible voter irregularities in Florida. How do you like that? Federal court hearing. Now, somebody faxed me Channel 10's website, click10.com, and it says they have updates to the recount from each county, what the original vote was. But I can't, I got their website on there now, but God only knows where the hell it is. I'm on their news page. Please, whoever faxed this to me, tell me where the hell I find it. Maybe you can find it, because I just don't have time to diddle with it. Well, yeah. Here's a great fax from Morris in Miami, who says, throughout George W. Bush's presidential campaign, he promised that a vote for him would be a vote to win politics as usual. In speech after speech and in almost every TV ad, he vowed to restore honesty and integrity to national politics and to be a healer, not a divider. Now, with the presidential election hanging in the balance, he has a unique opportunity to put his principles where his campaign rhetoric has been. It's become painfully apparent that perhaps as many as 20,000 voters in Palm Beach County have had their votes invalidated as a result of a confusing ballot, and that those votes would have gone overwhelmingly to Vice President Gore. If Bush wins the recount, as of this writing it's still unclear whether he'll prevail, and the voters in Palm Beach County are deprived of an opportunity to have their votes count the way they intended, Governor Bush will be awarded Florida's electoral votes and the election. In that event, he'll have to accept the presidency knowing full well that save for a confusing ballot in Palm Beach County, he would have lost the election. His presidency would be tainted by the country's realization that he achieved it by willfully disregarding the actual intentions of thousands of Palm Beach voters, many of them old and infirm, and Jewish. As unpalatable as that scenario is, if the governor hadn't promised he'd put an end to politics as usual, he could just smirk and say he won the election fair and square. That's politics as usual, and politics as usual dictates that it doesn't matter how you win as long as you win. Can you find that thing? Oh. But the governor has promised to restore honesty and integrity to politics, and that is precisely his dilemma. He is hoist by his own rhetorical petard. If he truly is the man of principle he purports to be, then he should refuse to accept a tainted election. A man of integrity would demand that the original election results in Palm Beach County be invalidated and a new special election be held. If Bush truly wishes to restore honesty and integrity to government, let him put his words into action. Let him do the honorable thing and demand a special election. If he does, it'll rebound to his credit and bode well for his political future and the future of our country. If he does not, he proves beyond all doubt that despite his rhetoric, it is just politics as usual. Nice going there, Morris in Miami. Did we find it? Oh, we're having trouble loading it? Squirt. Oh, God. Maybe somebody will be faxed. Maybe whoever faxed me that thing about Channel 10. Did you find where to find it or not? Yeah. It's just not, just... Okay. What do you mean 66 counties? We don't have 66 counties. Channel 10, let the recount begin. Yeah. But it's not going there. It's trying. Maybe there's 8 million people on there. Maybe I should have kept my mouth shut. Okay, well, we'll find it. Because that's really the key, is to find out. We know that there are 45 of the 67 counties that have recounted, and 795 is the lead for Bush at this point. But we just don't know which of the counties. Huh? There is nothing there? Well, like I said, please just let the guy fax me and we'll find where it is. Okay, where are we going? Here's a lady in Miami. Hello? Lady in Miami.
Oh, hello. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Just a comment on the challenge of the Florida statute saying that the ballot, it has to be to the right-hand side, and that gentleman saying that the Spanish one is to the left.
Right.
I hope somebody is searching the Florida statutes to see if they address that particular issue as far as translations are concerned. And plus, probably the instructions in Spanish to those people would be that vote to your left. So I hope somebody's looking to that, because that's a real challenge, and I think the only hope we have is in court. And that is real bad if it doesn't hold up.
Well, all I know is that the one in Palm Beach, I have it right in front of me. The instructions, the voting instructions say to vote, use the punching instrument attached to the chain to the vote-o-matic, punch straight down through the hole to the right of the arrow by the candidate or issue of your choice.
And there's no Spanish translation from the other side?
No, not in Palm Beach, no.
Okay, so then maybe we do have a chance with that. Regardless of the Spanish thing.
Yeah, I don't think the Spanish thing is going to come into play.
Okay, good.
Those are not disputed votes.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye-bye. Okay, did we get anything? I'm looking at the fax machine, nothing coming. Boy, does that piss me off. Because inquiring minds, including mine, want to know. I want to see if Volusia's on there. I want to see if Pinellas ever showed up. I'm not talking about the mayor, I mean the county. Here's Miami. Hello.
Yeah, hello?
Yes, sir.
Neil, how you doing?
Good.
It's an American great?
Yeah.
America's great, isn't it?
The
I'm
Banana
looking at the
Republic.
TV, and there's like thousands of people protesting right there in front of the courthouse in West Palm Beach.
They're going ape-shot, man. They're just losing it.
Yeah, they're peaceful, law-abiding citizens, aren't they?
Well, I mean, they're not tearing the city up. They're just screaming and yelling.
I mean, I'm wondering when the West Palm Beach police are going to go there and beat the crap out of them. And if they can't, why don't they call Metro-Dade County and the City of Miami Police to go ahead and beat the crap out of them and put them in jail?
Okay, say hi to Elion. Give him a big kiss, asshole. 567. I don't see anybody, oh, wait a minute. It's the same thing. And they're not showing which counties. I don't see anybody setting any buildings on fire, starting any fires in the streets. There are people with their signs. They're marching and protesting and making some noise. That's the American effing way, pal. Learn the lesson. Learn how it works. They're not blocking traffic. They're not screwing up anybody's life. They're out there where they belong, in front of the federal courthouse there in Palm Beach. Not blocking off the MacArthur Causeway or doing any of the other aberrant things that were done down here. So, all your sarcasm is falling on deaf ears by everyone in this audience with a brain larger than a ball bearing. And guess what? We're talking about a presidential election, not about a custody challenge between a father and a son. But don't confuse you with the facts. And Elion, oh, gee, you know something? I wonder if he had his Happy Meal today. Christ.
He had his unhappy meal.
Here's a mobile in Kendall. Hello.
Neil Gahn.
Yes, sir.
Did Gore or Bush win that election over there in Washington?
Over there in Washington?
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
Didn't Bush carry the South and Gore carry the North?
Sir?
I don't know.
Get some help. 567-0560, pound 560 on the AT&T and Verizon wireless line. And by the way, Washington, Gore won them both. Washington, D.C. and Washington, A.C. and state of. Here's mobile in Fort Myers. Hello.
Hey, Neil, how you doing?
Okay.
If you look at the ballot, the example ballot,
yeah,
and you see the arrows, the one with the no holes, it's pointing at the line that separates the candidates, the different parties. You see it like it's pointing to the line.
Well, wait a minute, I got to find. Yeah, well, the one that I have with no holes on it is just pointing.
But yeah, it's pointing to that horizontal line there. Okay.
Yeah.
Which is good. Okay, but there's no holes there. And then if you look at the real one, you see that the arrow is not only below the line now, along with the hole, but the arrow is also further to the right. I believe there's a greater distance. So it's all screwed up.
Yeah, the arrow is right over against the edge of the page.
Yeah, but
as opposed to the ones on the right-hand page, which the arrow is about 1/8 of an inch to the right.
Correct.
It's just crap. It's just inconsistent. It's
all
confusing.
screwed up. And I'd like to put a request in if you can find a time. I don't know if you played it since the election, but it'd probably fit right in. And maybe you should rename it sitting on a ballot box in Delray.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. Not a bad idea. There you go, Brian, sitting on a ballot box in Delray. Squeezing it. Okay, here's another one. It says go to... Oh, here it is. Thank you. God bless you. Instead of having a potchkey around here on the Internet, as of 12:50, as of 20 minutes ago, the county shaded in yellow, shaded in yellow, have already announced their recounts. What the hell does that mean? The one shaded in yellow, of course, it's in black and white. No, but at least it's got the numbers next to them. I mean, I think even I can figure that out. Now, let's see. Which of the ones we're concerned about? Oh, there's another page. One moment, please. Okay. Let's look at the counties that are still yet to come in. What was the one I was concerned about? Pinellas. Pinellas has not been in there yet. Pinellas is not in there. Uh-oh. And Volusia? Volusia's not in there yet, George. Volusia is not in there yet. So, strap yourselves in tight, baby. What about Orange County? Orange County in there yet? No. Orange County is also not in there. You know that corridor over there, that I-4 corridor? Wow. Oh, now wait a minute. We have is this a new one? 793. What was it before a moment ago? What were we saying? 795. 2 votes there. It's 46 out of 67 counties. It's now 793, down from 795. But I hasten to point out that the counties where it's possible there's a big change, at least last night we were led to believe that Pinellas is maybe a 400 or 500 vote change. They're not in yet. So we have 21 counties to go yet. God, this is enough to tear your kishkis out.
Crime is mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
My wife took the car to the mall. She drives my Buick and she's 3 feet tall. I wouldn't ride with her, no way. I said I'd meet her there later today. So I'm just sitting on a bench in Delray, waiting for the lolly bus to take me away. Oh, I'm just sitting on a bench in Delray with my friends time. Looks like it's time to take my change, 'cause the bus fares don't always stay the same. I'm not gonna do what Yenna tells me to do. The driver at her age, she must be insane. Just sitting here resting my bones, wondering why my wife won't leave me alone. We talked it over, but I never win. I just wind up slipping through the mall again. Oi, so I sit on a bench in Delray, waiting for the lolly bus to take me away. Oi, I'm just sitting on a bench in Delray with my friends crying. And there it is. It's about damn time. I've been waiting here all damn day on this bench. Where the hell have you been? Hey, where the hell are you going? Come back, you schmuck!
Okay, now there's something really interesting because I'm trying to count the number of counties on here, and thanks for faxing me this stuff. A couple of people faxed it from the Sun Sentinel website. And there's some counties where they have like dashes in the area under Bush and Gore change and Bush change. So I'm assuming now that maybe that means that they were counted and there's no change because the other ones are blank. But I'd have to add them up to be sure if it comes out to 46 or what it is. I don't know. What it is, George. Let me just count the ones where there's a number in there. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 25, 27, 29, 31, 33. Now there are 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, I guess that's it. So Volusia is in there. Volusia has been counted, and there's no change. And what was the other one we were looking at? Pinellas? No, Pinellas is not in there. That's going to be the big one, if it stands as the way it was last night. Here's a lady in Miami. Hello.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Neil, in our county, down in our area, District 9, we were told by the mail carrier that 4 boxes were left behind and the night of the election in the African-American area.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if they were sent up or what it was, but I sent a letter off to the commissioner of this district to let him know that I heard from the mail carrier that 4 boxes were not sent up. And, I mean, that's an irregularity that should never happen. And then the second thing is that they're talking about the Army, bringing in these votes. And all throughout the whole election, George Bush talking about the Army, he's going to do this and that for the other, and Dick Cheney, blah, blah, blah. And Americans seem to have a very short memory that it was Dick Cheney who downsized the Army and cut everything right after the Gulf War.
Mm-hmm.
He was the one responsible for all the Army going down to nothing.
Yeah, well, he's trying to live up to his name.
And he's trying to come back now and say that they want to do so much for the Army. And if the Army boys were listening, they would realize that Al Gore said he was going to spend $10 billion more than George Bush on the Army. And so these 2 oil slickers, if they get in, we're going to have oil all over the White House lawn.
Amen. We're going to be up to our ears in oil.
And then I wouldn't be surprised, if the backlash of the Ilian thing with the Cuban vote, with the Cuban mafia, with a few Republic clans, had something to do with all this.
Okay, I'm sure. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Elian becomes the next president. Oh! Yeah, I think that's where we're going to solve it. Maybe tomorrow we'll take that poll.
Didn't he win the write-in vote?
In certain places. I think in Sweetwater he did pretty good. In fact, in Hialeah they said, let's build a new stadium. We'll make Elian the president of the baseball team. And he can pitch on alternate Wednesdays. Now, here's one of facts that I can't figure this out for love or money. It says if the whole has to be on the right of the name in the English-Spanish areas, ask yourself this. Is the whole to the right of the name? And the answer is yes. The name is also on the same line on the right of the whole, but the requirement for the whole to be on the right of the name was met. Are you following that? It says the name is on the same line on the right of the whole, but the requirement for the whole to be on the right of the name was...
It was not met. For example, if you wanted to vote for Buchanan, the whole is
No, this is the ones that have a Spanish.
Oh, yeah. Everything's to the right on those things.
Far right, yeah. Way off to the right.
As you'd expect.
Now, which line is Batista's name on?
Line 3.
Fulgencio. Wow. Okay, now here's the facts. It says, for my 9-year-old godchild. It says, dear whom may ever be concerned. Hello, before I say what I need to say, let me tell you a little bit about me. I'm 9 years old. I live in Florida, South Florida. My parents are Democrats, and I have a complaint. Whoever made Florida's ballots is not very smart. Everyone knows whether they want to admit it or not. Florida's ballots were confusing. I think you should hold a revote for the state of Florida. If you're not convinced, please write back, and I'll write you again. I hope I made at least a small difference and didn't disturb anyone. Thank you, Amanda. Nice going, Amanda, who's up there in Boca. And I'm sure probably has a much better understanding already, even at the age of 9, of those ballots than some of the people who voted. Because they're confused. Here's Aventura. Hello.
Hey, Neil. Hi, how you doing?
Good.
Neil, I got a question. When we had the mayor election for Miami, and it was a big scandal, wasn't
About
it
the
federal
dead
court...
people?
I'm sorry?
About the dead people who voted?
Yeah, wasn't there a big scandal? Wasn't the federal court come in and decide to throw out all the absentee ballots?
ballots in that. It wasn't the federal court that came in and monitored it.
What are you saying?
Well, I saw an interview with Janet Reno.
No, they threw out the ones that weren't valid. They didn't throw. Of course, they didn't throw them all out. The ones that were dead people.
I think it was a decision they said that they were going to negate all absentee ballots in the
now that I'm really thinking back, yeah, you may be right. I think they may have thrown them all out.
Well, my question is, I saw Janet Reno on CNN do a press
I say let's
conference.
throw all the absentee ballots in Florida out. Yeah.
Well, my question is that when I saw Janet Reno on her press conference on CNN, she was saying that she was not going to get the federal government involved in this. And, you know, I'm thinking it sounds crazy because if they came and got involved in the mayor election, we have so much allegations of impropriety here with such enormous national implications. Why would the federal government not get involved in this?
Okay, I got to go. I got another. Now, what is this? Pinellas is complete. Bush lost 51 votes in Pinellas, and Gore gained. No, Gore lost. How the hell? Oh, I see. No, I got it backwards. Yeah, that's right. Bush lost 51, and Gore gained 404. So that's a difference of 455. But I don't see that. That doesn't reflect in here. Because I'm looking on. Now, let me just check the totals on here. Bush's original. Okay. Well, then that's not on here yet. Where the hell did he get this? Whoever got this must be way ahead of me. Or else he got these numbers out of the newspaper, which I think what these numbers are what they came up with last night. But they said we have to recount. There's a little discrepancy in there somewhere. But I'm glad to get that number again, because if that's the case, 455, if that's right, that would cut the margin down to 338. Just in one county. But it is not reflected in that total that they're showing right now, 46 of the 67 counties, and Bush with a 793 vote lead. So how do you like that? All we can say is... But for the Bush people out there is some good news, some reassuring news, and that is that the judge, this federal judge who's going to be holding the hearing at 2:30 on the irregularities, is a Bush Republican. A good old boy. So things may turn out for the Bushmeister after all. They may actually wind up stealing this election. Of course, this is only one thing. This is just about voter irregularities. We don't know what that counts, what that encompasses. Here's a mobile in Miami. Hello.
Hey, Neil.
Yes, sir.
I got two little spy reports for you. I'm driving my little Havana. I'm going to stick my phone out the window. Booch, booch, booch. Here's the other report. I'm driving by Liberty City now.
Okay, good. 2-4-6-8. Who do we... let's see. I'm just... Bear with me. 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 30. This is not right. This stuff that was faxed to me, this do not be right. Because it doesn't have anywhere near 46 counties on here having... Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not counting the ones with the dashes. Let me try it again. Just calm down, folks. Whistle Dixie. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 40, 42, 44, 45, and then the one additional one that they came up with. It's right. So Pinellas is still not in there. Alex or the county. Yeah, let's put Mayor Pinga Pequeña in a box. In a lock box. That sounds good to me. Oh! So how do you like that? So thank you, Joel, but your numbers are, they may be accurate, but they're like recounting them a second time, and they're not included in that total yet. Woo! In fact, I'll tell you, this may come down to like one vote, George. Too bad we have illegal aliens in the studio who can't vote.
I'm so ashamed.
Well, you better go vote right now. I think you still got. I think it's still open. Yeah, if you go down there and tell them you can speak Spanish,
it's all my fault.
Just go down there and do it. In fact, when I leave here, I'm going to go back to that volunteer park in Plantation Acres again. I'm going to vote again, just to try to tighten it up a little bit.
The Neil Rogers Show, Sports Radio 560, QAM.
My wife took the car to the mall. She drives my Buick and she's 3 feet tall. I wouldn't ride with her, no way. I said I'd meet her there later today. So I'm just sitting on a bench in Delray. waiting for the lolly bus to take me away. Oh, I'm just sitting on a bench in the way with my guns fine. Looks like it's time to check my change, 'cause the bus fares don't always stay the same. I'm not gonna do what Yenna tells me to do. The drive at her age, she must be insane. Just sitting here resting my bones, wondering why my wife won't leave me alone. We've talked it over, and I never win. I just wind up slipping through them all again. Oh, so I sit on the bench in the rain, waiting for the lolly bus to take me away. Oh, I'm just sitting on a bench in the rain with my face fine. And there he is. It's about damn time. I've been waiting here all damn day on this bench. Where the hell have you been? Hey, what the hell are you doing?
It's clear injustice. What does the Bush campaign say? They blithely dismissed the disenfranchisement of thousands of Floridians as being the usual sort of mistake made in elections. They cite legal provisions about published ballots and technical...
Bill Bailey.
They put a demand for finality ahead of the pursuit of fairness. As for the substance of these responses, let me say that they are in doubt. It remains unclear if the sample ballot published really contained all the elements, including the alignment of the punch holes, that the actual ballot reflected. More importantly, let me be clear at what is at stake here. Technicalities should not determine the presidency of the United States. The will of the people should. Demanding an end to this election is not the same as demanding that the person who the people want as president takes office. Here's what we intend to do about this. Today, the appropriate Florida Democratic officials will be requesting a hand count of ballots in Palm Beach County, as well as 3 other counties, Volusia, Dade, and Broward. In addition, today I'm announcing that we will be working with voters from Florida in support of legal actions to demand some redress for the disenfranchisement of more than 20,000 voters in Palm Beach County. We believe that with so much at stake, steps should be taken to make sure that the people's choice becomes our president. In addition, we are still collecting accounts of other irregularities, voter intimidation, and other oddities in other parts of the state, and if substantiated and appropriate, they too will become part of legal actions. Now let me address the concerns of those who say that these actions will delay the conclusion of this election, or somehow we are seeking to drag this out. All we are seeking is this, that the candidate who the voters preferred become our president. That is what our constitutional principles demand. That is what true fidelity to our Constitution suggests. That is what the American people truly deserve.
All right.
Moreover, we will move this matter ahead as quickly as is possible. We do not want delay. What we want, however, is democracy fulfilled. Finally, let me address some remarks to the Bush campaign. I believe that their actions to try to presumptively crown themselves the victors, to try to put in place a transition, run the risk of dividing the American people and creating a sense of confusion. Let the legal system run its course. Let the true and accurate will of the people prevail. And if at the end of the process, George Bush is the victor, we will honor and obviously respect those results. But we would expect the same adherence to the rule of law and democratic process from their campaign in return. Bold claims not based on the will of the people endanger the orderly transition of power. Taking the time to ensure that the people's choice is our president is the best way to respect our democratic values and honor our Constitution. At this time, let me ask former Secretary of State Warren Christopher to make a few brief remarks.
Oh! Poke him in the ribs. Come on, wake him up.
Thank you, Bill.
Okay.
Well, to shorten this up and enable you to get to your questions, let me just associate myself with Chairman Daley's comments. If I could put it in a single sentence, we've come to believe that there are serious and substantial irregularities resulting from the ballot used only in one county. That ballot was confusing and illegal, and arising out of this is the need for redress in order to make sure that the will of the people can be properly honored in this situation.
Yeah.
Now, I think...
Okay, thanks. Where's my car keys, by the way, George? He be doing it down there, or is he...
No, I give them back to you. They're in there amongst them.
I thought maybe he took off. By the way, the popular vote, last I just heard, they just flashed it on there. It's 193,000 that Gore was in. That's not absolutely final, but he's going to win the popular vote. Somebody who lives in Wisconsin texts me, says, Gore won the popular vote. Why does Florida matter? And I hope that you're only joking, sir. I hope you're only joking. You should be right, because the Electoral College is a dinosaur. But that's what we got. Electoral College, not popular vote, because it's Zion America. So there you go. You can see that they're not just going to coronate George W. and hand it over to them, which is what they're trying to do. It's like I said before, like in a hockey game or a football game, officials make a dubious call, and what you want to do is either drop the puck or snap the ball real fast so that after that happens, you can't go back and look at it again. And so when you're in the wrong, like in this case, and they know they stole the election, they know that there was all this hanky-panky that went on, of course they want to say, okay, well, you know, we're moving in. Clear Bubba out of there, we're moving in. A little early, but we're moving in. We're starting our transition team. We're starting the takeover right now. You know what this reminds me of? Reminds me of that election in, 1933 in Germany? That's what it reminds me of. Yeah, it's very similar. Only I will say this, at least Hitler did win the vote there.
The popular vote, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he was a popular guy. Well, that old, you know. Here's the mobile in Dania. Hello.
Yeah,
hello, John Chancellor. Yes, sir.
Yeah, is it true that Democrats are the one who made that ballot in Palm Beach?
Democrats and Republicans. It was bipartisan.
Okay, did they all have to approve it?
Yes. Well, not all the Democrats in the county. You know, whoever is in charge of the elections office, they made it together.
Okay, but they all looked at it and they all did approve it.
Yes.
Okay,
and it's still illegal.
Yeah, okay. If they lost at 1,900 votes or 19,000 votes,
19,000.
Isn't that going to be against Gore?
What is it?
Isn't that going to be against Gore?
What do you mean by that?
Well, if they get rid of those 19,000 votes.
They haven't counted the 19,000, sir. They already threw them out. Get the bottle out of your mouth, will you? Wherever you're sticking it, and get with it. Jesus Christ, and this guy probably voted. Oh, man. God help us. All I can say is get on your knees and pray to...
Oh, God.
And ask for forgiveness, sir, for your idiotic, that sputum that was just coming through the phone. It's enough to make you run and take a hot shower. 21 before 2 at 560 WQAM. Oh, are we back? Oh, I'm listening to one of the reporters saying that the Republican side is saying, well, that they already saw the ballots ahead of time and yada, yada, yada. And that's not relevant legally because, you know, when something happens that in effect has the effect of taking away voters' right or disenfranchising their vote, that's not kosher. It's not legal. Now, Joel, and by the way, thank you, Joel, for the information, but the fact is he's insistent that I keep checking Channel 10's website, and the fact is Pinellas, they're wrong. If they do have Pinellas on there, they're wrong. The numbers are right from last night, but I'll say it again. It was in the newspaper this morning, and it's also in the Sun Sentinel, which they're up to date on it. They had recounted Pinellas. They were about to turn them in, and they released the numbers, but then they said, oh, hold on a second, we've got some other problem here, and they still haven't turned it in yet. Maybe they're waiting until the ass end, huh? Maybe they're waiting until the very end, and we can goose that 500. What was it again? How many? 456? I think it was like 1,600, wasn't it? I think it was 2,800, wasn't it? In Pinellas? 45,000? So they're waiting until the ass end. Here's Palm Beach Gardens. Hello.
Hey, Neil.
Okay.
I just had to call and tell you my experience with this because the ballot, that whole thing really was totally screwed up.
Mm-hmm.
If I hadn't taken my sample ballot with me, with all of the things, you know, Gore and all that, all highlighted, I would have screwed it up. At one point, I was ready to just pull the stupid card out of there and start punching the numbers because I couldn't tell where the numbers were in the thing.
Right.
I mean, and then I hear these people go, "Oh, these people in Palm Beach County, they're just making a big deal." Well, it really was.
You sound like you're under the age of 100 to me.
Yeah, exactly. And I couldn't even figure it out.
Right.
It's pretty bad. And it is kind of cute, those people working those booths. I mean, they're older than fire and everything else.
Uh-huh.
I went and asked for one girl, and she's like,
Oh, I hope you didn't make a mistake, because we've had to void about 20 of these today. And I'm like, oh, my God.
Oh, great.
So if that didn't tell him something, I don't know, hopefully this will.
Well, I'm glad she had to void anyway. That's usually a big problem up there. Thanks for the good news, pal.
All right.
Cross your fingers and your legs. It's coming right down to the wire, baby. Still only 46. It's pretty slow now, What do we have when we started today? 32, and then it was 35. And then there was like a little spurt in there.
Scored.
In the middle of the late morning and early afternoon. And then we just kind of stopped. We've come to a screeching halt at 46. Now, how do you like what Bill Daley said about the hand recount in Palm Beach and Volusia and Dade? All I can say is about Palm Beach, Volusia, and Dade, call Jack Webb, call Shylock Holmes, call Colombo.
Didn't he say Broward also?
He also, and Broward. Yeah, that was another one. We'll see. Long way to go on this, because we're talking 6 million votes in the state of Florida. And we're talking about a 793 vote margin so far, and they're still all counted yet. Out of 6 million. Here's a mobile in Boca. Hello.
Hey, hi, Neil.
Yes, sir.
Happy belated birthday. I haven't talked to you since your birthday. So.
Thanks.
I want to give you a little example of my experience with this. I wasn't in September. A friend of mine at work brought in a whole registration cards for all the guys I work with if they were registered to register. So we all, like 16 registered, and every single guy that registered as Republicans went through, and they were able to vote. I went in to vote the other day, and I wasn't even in the system. There's a 29-day rule. You have to have your registration in within 29 days of election, and the 22nd is when it was mailed in. And I didn't vote for gold.
Okay, your phone is crapping out, but I think what he's trying to say is for some strange reason that the people who sent in their applications for a voter registration card back in September. The Republicans got theirs and he did not, being a Democrat. And it may sound paranoid, but the fact is, reading about all kinds of things that happen. We had zillions of people calling yesterday who said for the same reason they were denied the right to vote and given a big runaround, and that was it. That was the end. So I guess if you were black, you had a much tougher time. If you were old, you had a tougher time. If you're a registered Democrat of any persuasion, you had a tougher time in this state. Yeah, get you a Sun Sentinel, a Herald, and a Palm Beach Post, and lock the door from the inside real tight with a couple of padlocks, and just sit in there with a flashlight in a dark corner somewhere and read all this crap. And if no matter what your political persuasion is, if you don't come to the conclusion that there was a massive attempt to steal this election, then good luck to all of us. Here's Boca. Hello.
Yeah, Neil.
Yes, sir.
You play these songs like Two Jews in Delray and all. Well, these are the voters that are there. They got cataracts. They got Alzheimer's. They're on medication.
What about it?
Well,
how about the guy who just called just before you were on? How about him? He was a young guy, probably in his 20s or 30s. Do you think he's got cataracts and Alzheimer's? No, I think you got a goddamn hole in your head. You know something, sir? Their vote counts as much as yours and mine. Now, I agree with you. I'd like to get them off the road. No question, we can all agree on that. Get them off the highway, take away their driver's license, etc., and so on. But you don't take away their right to vote. And speaking of Alzheimer's, how's Ronnie doing? Seems to me he was president. Oh. Don't forget a grassroots rally scheduled for 3 this afternoon in the Town Center Mall in Boca. The location will be in the parking lot facing Glades Road in front of the restaurant Fridays in Stir Crazy. It's expected there will be TV coverage, possible appearances from Congressman Robert Wexler and or Jesse Jackson, who says if they don't make it fit, then you're full of Schmidt. The DNC in Washington has responded positively. The purpose is to demand a revote and that Bush cannot steal this election. That's 3 o'clock today, Town Center Mall in Boca. Now, yesterday, Hank did a stellar, a spectacular job of continuing talking about this, unlike the bozos in the morning who only know about ball games and crap on his station. I see Bookster's going to be filling in today. I don't want to put any pressure on him because I know he's got old Beano Cook at 5. But we'll see what the Bookster comes up with. Whether it's just some more of that ball game crap. Here's a mobile in West Palm Beach. Hello.
How you doing there, Neil?
Okay.
Yeah, the funny thing about this whole thing, and I was trying to call you yesterday, but I guess I couldn't get through with you, but the formula that Bush is using is the same formula that Dan Ronald Reagan used. We was in $1 billion deficit, and Gore, I blame Gore for everything. Bush should never even got one vote. If they remember, the $1 billion deficit that we was in back in the days, and everybody was grabbing onto their butthole because
Okay, good. Okay, well, hang on to your butthole a little longer because we still don't know who won yet. Okay, hang on real tight. A little bit late for campaigning now, okay, boys and girls? I think it's a little bit late for that. Here's a lady in Miami. Hello.
Hi, Neil.
Yes, ma'am.
How are you?
Okay.
I had the same problem. I registered online to vote back in June,
Mm-hmm.
and I wasn't able to vote on Tuesday. I called them, and they went back and forth with me and told me they had thousands of cards to process, and it would be like looking for a needle in a haystack.
Well, isn't that great? So they just took away your vote.
Yeah.
They stole it.
And I wasn't even registered for the primary in September. Seeing that I got my application in June,
Mm-hmm.
and I couldn't even vote in the primary. So I lost out.
Good luck to us, sweetheart.
But I'm a Democrat also.
Well, that's probably why you lost out. Good luck.
Thanks.
Bye. 151 at 560. Markets are taking a gigantic. Oh, look at that. Dow's down 275. The Nasdaq's down 144. Oh, boy. Going to be some right buying opportunities, George. Now's the time to start thinking about pouncing on it. You know why it's taking a big dump?
Because their guy isn't.
They know. They know what's coming, baby. They can smell it. Can you smell it? Yeah. Still 46 out of 67 counties have been voted, recounted, redone, redid. Now, where's the list? Here it is. The counties that are still, and don't forget, the Democrats have requested a hand count in Volusia, Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach. But still we have, over and above that, 21 more counties yet to be recounted. Alachua, Bay, Bradford, Calhoun, Charlotte, a lot of votes there, Citrus, Clay, DeSoto, Dixie, Gulf, Hardy, Holmes, Levy. Oh, you think that's a Jewish county?
Uh-huh.
Manatee, Martin. A lot of people in Manatee, that's Bradenton. Martin County, up the road a piece. Orange County. Orange County still hasn't been recounted here, George. Pasco, Pinellas, and I'll say it again, keep your eye and your nose for the Pinellas vote, the recount. Polk, Sarasota, Seminole, and Washington. Anyway, it's 8 minutes before 2 at 560 QM.
The Neil Rogers Show. Sports Radio 560 QAM.
156, Buchanan in the building. He's apoplectic over the whole thing. And who the hell isn't? I mean, can there be anybody? Well, I got my haircut this morning. My barber was going, bada-beep, bada-boop, bada-bop. Everybody's up in arms and foaming at the mouth about this stuff. Still no new news. No Sununu news. Okay, where are we going here? We got a lady mobile in Delray Beach. Hello.
Hi,
Yes,
Neil
ma'am.
Betsy. How are you?
Good.
I hope that this is helpful for people who, like the last caller who with the business with the election card and so forth. This is, if you go to the Democratic headquarters, I know there's one in Delray at Lake Ida and Congress.
Right.
There's an election day problem and complaint form. And what it says is for all problems or complaints reported by voters on election day, either by telephone or in person, please complete all of the following information. Only in this way will we be able to follow up with callers and reach solutions to problems, which I think is what everybody's looking for.
Yeah.
And it gives you the name of the person reporting, the address, city, zip, phones, and all of this, voting precinct, address of problem, time of call, and then a description, and then a signature.